I think that is a tough question. That is why I'm not in the room for it, because the way she describes it seems like a very difficult situation from both sides.
Well, clearly, I mean, here we are on the doorstep of the season. It's will they, won't they, this entire offseason, and actually even going back to last year. They got CeeDee Lamb done. That had to happen. But let's hear a little of our good friend Diana Rossini kind of talking this out. So first, let's hear Ryan Botcher, the holdup in the contract, please.
The holdup at this point, from what I understand, is about the years the Dallas Cowboys are willing to commit to.
Okay. So the years. Okay.
While it's assumed that Dak is going to be paid at the top of the market, the Dallas Cowboys are aware of that. It's, do they want to put themselves in a position contractually that will keep Dak in Dallas longer than 2, 3, 4 years? And that's what Dak is looking for. He's looking for a long-term commitment.
Okay, Dak's looking for the long-term commitment. I understand it at this point in his career. This is very different from the last contract negotiation they had, where Dak wanted the shorter deal and the Cowboys wanted the longer deal to keep him under contract. And he's thinking, no, I want multiple bites of the apple. But things do change as you get a little bit older. There's more to the story, though, right? According to Diana, there's more tension here than just years and money. It's about Dak's ability. Let's hear Diana.
The holdup here is really the belief from the Dallas Cowboys. This is a guy who's won a lot of games. But is that enough? Winning's not enough for Jerry Jones, right? We know this. They want to do more. Stephen Jones told us that. They don't want to just be the team that wins a lot of games. They want to be the team that can play in the Super Bowl.
And that's it. I mean, that's the fundamental thing. Do you think Dak Prescott's a good regular season quarterback who comes up small in the playoffs, or do you think he's actually someone capable of winning a Super Bowl?
So, first of all, shout out to, I think I heard Diana's kids in the background, which I really appreciate.
Hits close to home.
She's got little boys at home, I believe. Anyway, I think this is interesting to me because everyone assumes that the Cowboys are crazy, right? Because Jerry gets out and says 9 different bizarre things in every press conference.
Yeah.
But now I see, I think both sides have very, very rational takes on this. It totally makes sense from Dallas' standpoint, where they would be uncomfortable signing Dak Prescott for 8 years or whatever. Like Patrick Mahomes is a 10-year deal because they don't want to do the same movie over and over and over again. They want Dak Prescott. They know. I mean, this is both sides have great logic here. I think it's we tend to call the Cowboys sort of eccentric or bizarre. I get this a perfectly rational debate here. I kind of lean toward the Cowboys side. I'd be nervous signing Dak Prescott for 8 years because really, do you want to do this for the entire 30s for Dak, where they're at 10-7 and make the playoffs and lose? I understand what the Cowboys are doing. I totally get it.
Wait, 8 years? I mean, that's silly. I know Patrick Mahomes, one of the reasons why he signed that massively long deal, in theory, was actually to bring the number down in terms of his average annual salary.
Right.
That was to help out the organization. To make it manageable. You end up signing him to $500 million, but you spread it out over this really long amount of time. What does Dak want here? He wants a long-term deal, and he wants to get paid at the top of the market. He wants both? I don't know if you're getting both. You can get a short-term deal and get paid at the top of the market, or you can take a longer-term deal and make it a little more team-friendly. Dak's got leverage. I don't think he's got that much. Because, again, the Cowboys, if they want to move on, Perloff, then that's just should be it, end of story. You've got to find your plan B for a quarterback. You've got to have this year be the final season. And by the way, maybe it's possible I end up winning this Waffle House bet, which would be the upset of all upsets.
What are you talking about? It's not that big of an upset.
Well, I mean, it was looking pretty bleak there for me for a minute.
Oh, yeah, the headlines that Dak might sign this week.
Yes, I thought I was going to lose this bet before the season kicked off, and it's possible I still do. But whatever you want to do with the contract, you've got to figure out that fundamental question. If you think you can win with him and you think you would win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott, then you do the deal. If you don't, then you go and look for a different quarterback.
But wait. So you're saying, you're making it sound way too cut and dry. You're saying I could give you Dak Prescott and you're going to make the playoffs every year, but you might flame out early. You're saying no as the Cowboys?
Well, that's
so
what
you're
Diana's saying. She's saying if they don't think that...
They're willing to do 4 years, though. Or 3 or 4 years. They're willing to do short term with them. They just we don't want to do this forever.
But 8 years doesn't seem reason.
Well,
That doesn't seem real to me. That Patrick Mahomes signed that when he was 24 years old, not 31, like Dak Prescott. That doesn't make any sense.
I saw Josh Allen, I think, is 6 years. So the
these
young
guys
guy
are in their 20s. It's
well,
different.
it's not, so what? I mean, he's 30. I just think it's a fair question on the Cowboys, and I understand Dak's angle too. We're both, you realize, siding with the Cowboys here. I think the Cowboys have a right to say this, and if they say, here's 4 years, $200 million, $200+ million, 220,
right.
like Dak should take it. Like, how much money does he need?
Well, it's not about that because he wants to get paid at the hot top of the market.
Right.
So you can't tell him, hey, man, take a discount.
But I would tell him do 4 years, 220. Why go into this year for an extra year or two?
See, to me, none of this matters, right? None of this matters until you answer this fundamental question. And I'm curious what Cowboy fans think at 855-212-4227. The question is, can the dude win the Super Bowl? I think you've got a lot of evidence here that tells you he's not winning it with your team. Do we need 8 more years? What are we doing? We have 8 years of a good regular season team under multiple head coaches. You've had multiple different defensive coordinators. You've tried this multiple different offensive coordinators. You've done this a million ways. Dak's a good quarterback. He's good. He's maybe borderline great. He's good. He's good / really good. What more do you need to see? Like, this is where, if I'm the Cowboy or if I'm a Cowboy fan, I get frustrated because I'm like, you know what, or get off the pot with this guy.
But why are you blaming the
through
team?
4 more years of this? Like,
so now you don't even want to do 4 years with Dak Prescott.
Well, if they're still asking themselves the question, can we win with Dak Prescott, then you don't have an answer. You're lost.
What are you talking about? Do you not watch the Cowboys? Everyone's team. Like, you see Dak Prescott, you know what happens here. Like, they're not lost. They are being cold and calculating here. They're doing exactly what every other team and every fan would do. Be like, you know what? Dak's a good quarterback. We'll keep him here. We just don't want to commit too long. The Cowboys are acting perfectly rational here.
Then don't say it's about a Super Bowl then, because that's...
Well, how is that not about a Super Bowl, though? Because they think Dak is close, but not there. It's not like cut and dry. It's not black and white. Like, Dak either can or can't. Dak's a good quarterback. He gives them a certain chance. Like, there's definitely, like, a gray area here. Maggie gray area, if you will.
Maggie gray area? I'll take it. If it was me running the team, I'd eliminate the gray area.
I don't think it's so black and white that, like, yes, I think the Cowboys are acting perfectly rational here. Like, of course they want him for 3 or 4 years at the top of the market. Of course they don't want him for 8 years or 6 or 7 years at the top of the market. Like, that's what they should be doing. They're acting exactly as a team every other team would and should. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like
you're saying...
don't say
it's about the Super Bowl then.
Well, what do you mean don't say it's about the Super Bowl? Like, Dak for the next 3 or 4 years might give you the best chance of going to the Super Bowl.
But he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And you've had really good teams. So to say he gives you a chance, well, anyone gives you a chance. Kirk Cousins gives you a chance. Anyone who's got 2 legs and 2 arms, in theory, gives you a chance. You have the institutional knowledge. This dude's in your building every day. You've paid him lots of money.
You don't need institutional knowledge.
Do you want him to be the quarterback or not? To me, actually, it is very black and white. There's
no institutional knowledge. Everyone knows what Dak is. He's the longest tenured starter. Everyone knows what Dak is.
Why does he fail in the playoffs?
I have no idea.
But they should know that.
What do you mean they should know that? That doesn't even make any sense. So we know what Dak is. You're telling me the best thing, if the Cowboys want to make the Super Bowl, signing Dak for 2 or 3 years, say at $52 million a year, $55 million a year, that's probably the best chance they'll have in 2 or 3 years. If they don't re-sign Dak, then they're going to have to do some kind of rebuilding process. And the question is, that's what they want to do. They want to thread that needle, and that makes sense.
You've already thread the needle once, right?
Now you get rid of Dak.
Well, if you want to win a Super Bowl and you're not sure yet, if you're the Cowboys, that you can win with Dak Prescott, then what are you doing paying him at the top of the market? Like, that doesn't actually make a lot of sense to me. And he might go on and win somewhere else, and that's a risk you've got to take. Because if you can't answer the fundamental question, this is a guy who's in your building every day. You know him better than anybody. Why does he fail in the biggest games? Is it his fault? Is it not his fault? Do you blame him for it? Do you not? Is it, you've got to have that answer after a decade. Because if not, then you're just doing more of the same. And then when I accuse Jerry Jones and the Cowboys of not actually being about winning, just being about relevant, then I get shrapnel but you're showing me, if you don't think Dak Prescott can win a Super Bowl, you're showing me you don't actually want to care about winning a Super Bowl if you're willing to give him $60 million for the next 4 years.
Well, I think if you look at this immediate window coming up here, Jerry's 80 years old.
Yeah.
Within 3 years, I think they want to do a 3-year deal with Dak. And that makes so much sense.
Okay.
I mean,
haven't answered my
because
question
the
yet.
other
Do you
one-
think he can win a Super Bowl? Or do you just want to? Do you just want to be a 12-win team? Then just be a 12-win team, and if that's good enough for you, because it hasn't been good enough to get their coach off the hot seat, and it hasn't been good enough to slam dunk re-sign Dak Prescott. You've got to make a decision if you're the Cowboys. It's a tough one. I don't envy them, and I don't see a good plan B. Like, it's not obvious who their next quarterback would be. But if you can't answer, if you're still asking yourself, can this guy win a Super Bowl, and you're about to give him more money, like you've got to be steadfast, and you've got to feel good about your answer.
Well, I think
before you pay him again.
Paying Dak 3 years at 55, that gives them their best chance to win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years. Letting him go, that kind of tanks him for probably 4 years.
Well, it would
They're
look
not even-
like that, but it depends who's your next guy. Is there a way? Again, you're leaving a lot up to chance. You're leaving a lot up to the market. The draft, whatever. However, you're going to do this. It's not ideal, but.
Well, the way the offseason played out, every quarterback signed, so nobody's coming here. I mean, there's no free agency got gutted this offseason because every quarterback's re-signed.
Yeah.
Now you're like, okay, the draft. The odds of the Cowboys getting the top 10 for a draft, or even as high as the Broncos did to get Bo Nix last year, seem minuscule. So now it's a different story now. There's just nothing out there. The fact that the Rams seem to be settled into Stafford, like there's just nothing going on next year. So I think they're looking at the market and saying, Dak gives us our best chance for the short term.
Right.
That's just... You make it so like they have to decide. The reality is these are fluid. Like it's a calculus here. They have to make a calculation. Like what gives us our best chance right now today? And the reality is a 3-year deal for a ton of money with Dak would be awesome. Like they would be high-fiving each other.
It doesn't look like that's possible. So last clip from Diana Orsini with some intel on what's going on with the Cowboys is Dak has the leverage here. So the Cowboys might want this short-term deal pay him a lot for a few amount of years, but he's the guy who holds the cards.
It's all just in his court. He's literally just sitting there with his hands behind his head, which is, we've seen a lot of his press conferences, and he's as cool and calm as they come. And you heard him, like, because he knows he's going to get what he needs to get, no matter how the situation plays out. Either he stays in Dallas and they wind up coming to an agreement here over the next few days, or he hits free agency, and we have a number of teams that would be interested.
All right, so Diana's saying there'd be a number of teams in his free agency, even if we can't see exactly who they are now. There's definitely going to be options out there for Dak Prescott. So he really does hold the leverage, and you want to know how this is going to go? Like every other Cowboys negotiation, the Cowboys are going to lose this negotiation if they end up wanting him back. They're going to pay a lot. They're going to give him what he wants, and they're going to lose this negotiation, just like they lost the negotiation to him a couple of years ago when he had them after they applied the franchise tag. And then he got hurt, and then they really needed him, and he got what he wanted. So,
but that was a pretty good contract for the Cowboys.
Yeah, but Dak got what he wanted. The Cowboys wanted more years, and Dak wanted fewer years. And which is why here we are again. And he got the no franchise tag again. The clause put in his contract that they can't franchise him again. He got stuff he wanted. Yeah,
but he might have, definitely. But I feel like that was kind of a win-win. Like the Cowboys, that's the thing. Like you see the Cowboys keep losing these things or whatever. Like, I don't know. They're still a pretty good team. Like, are they really doing that bad? What's the Cowboys' mistake here? I think, honestly, the Cowboys are probably steadily, conservatively doing the right thing again and again and again, and we just tear them apart. Like, what's the mistake they made this offseason?
Well, they definitely, if they're going to keep Dak, they should have extended him so his cap number came down. If they actually wanted to put more playmakers or add more to the roster, they ended up paying CeeDee Lamb after Justin Jefferson got paid. They could have gotten to the market earlier on that. We still have nothing on Micah.
Right. Well, first of all, why would they re-sign Mike after 3 years?
Maybe they don't have to. Yeah, but you're asking missteps. It's just the price keeps going up and up.
CeeDee Lamb, they got in right at the market. I mean, that's like saying everybody who paid their wide receiver. They paid CeeDee Lamb the market rate. I mean, that's what CeeDee Lamb was going to get paid. And also, you don't know that Dak would have taken that deal in March. I mean, maybe Dak is holding this up more than the Cowboys. I'm sure that they probably floated out an offer to his agent. I'm sure it was under market.
Right.
But
if it was a good one, he might be signed.
I don't think that. I think like this win and lose, like the Cowboys, we kill them, and yet they have a pretty good roster. Like for example, like they let Tyron Smith go, their left tackle, but they They seem to be really smart. Like
offensive line, I'm never worried about.
I mean, maybe
they're
the way I think people describe them is that they're one of the dumbest franchises in the league.
Definitely not.
See, this Dak Prescott is a perfect example. Like, I feel like they're doing like smart, prudent things. Like they're like, we want to make this short term because we're worried about the long term future of this franchise. They seem to do the right thing again and again and again, and yet we act like they're Cowboys. No pun intended. Off coming out of the bar, drunkenly spending or driving. Like, I get it.
No,
if I'm the Cowboys, I get everything Jerry's doing. It's actually not that crazy.
I'm not accusing them of making like rash decisions. I'm accusing them of not making a decision in time. Like you've got to the fact that they're dragging out this Prescott thing, or that it is dragging out because, according to Diana, they're not even sure if he could win a Super Bowl. Like, to me, you've got to have an answer on that. Because it's only the whole franchise, guys. Like, it's the whole franchise. It's everything weighing on this decision. The CeeDee Lamb decision, that was going to happen. He's wearing 88. They were going to pay him. It's not that. The whole future, the current right now, the current status in the short-term future is all about Prescott. And you're not sure.
Well, I
don't love that as leadership.
Just to put you on the record, then, if you're the Cowboys, you would move on. That's what I'm hearing.
You don't think he can win, if you've seen enough in 8 years, what is it, 8 years, 9 years, however long he's been there. If you haven't seen enough now and you don't think he can win, then what are you doing? Because you're not a team that's, just happy to be in the mix. Yeah. You're a team that's winning the division. Mm-hmm. You're a team that should be a Super Bowl contender. And if you're just happy being a regular season team, then okay. But if you actually are serious about winning a Super Bowl and you don't think your quarterback can do it, then you're twiddling your thumbs.
Or you could say they have one more year to try out Dak Prescott to win a Super Bowl, and let's see what happens this year. It's not a bad position.
Well, it looks like that's what they're doing, and that's why the Waffle House bet will remain on hold.
I also think one thing, I don't think if he goes into the season without a contract and doesn't do anything during the season, I still feel good next year. If you look at Dak Prescott's market in free agency, what's the perfect spot? A team that's going to have salary cap space, talent around him, a good coaching staff that he knows their offense. Dallas.
Well, is Mike McCarthy still there?
I think so. I mean, why would Jerry doesn't fire anybody? But even so, like, Dallas seems like the most attractive free agent destination for Dak Prescott. Why Tampa?
I'm just saying.
I mean, you going to go with Todd Bowles? I don't know.
I don't think he's going to be there.
I think Dallas is a great spot for Dak Prescott if he gets to free agency. I think anybody would want that spot. Why would you not want to be there? You get all the ad deals, and your team is awesome. Your O-line is stacked. You have CeeDee Lamb. What do you have in Tampa Bay? Mike Evans is like 40. I just think that Dallas will be, even if they get it, just do what they always do. Pay him in the offseason. Give him $65 million next year. It's happening, Maggie. That's why I'm not nervous about this bet. That you stated it. Like, they always do the most expensive option.
Yeah, they do. It's like they overpay. They don't overpay, but it feels like they could be getting the market earlier on this stuff, but they want to see the leaves fall off the tree, according to Jerry.
Yeah, I kind of get it with Dak, though. I'm sticking up for Jerry. Like, Jerry is, he says some crazy things, but this all makes sense. He's actually acting perfectly rational, and we're acting like he is just a 82-year-old Arkansas oil billionaire who's playing with his team like it's a fantasy team. I think secretly the Cowboys are doing the smart thing here.
Yeah, the one hang-up is Dak ain't winning anything.
I don't know. I mean, they're 12-5 3 years in a row. The NFC sure seems like it's got some issues this year.
I know, but it feels like as long as the San Francisco 49ers are on this earth, they're not winning. 855-212-4227. Okay, we have lots to do. So that's a little update on what's going on with the Cowboys. Dak wants lots of years. The Cowboys want few amount of years, and they're not sure if he can win a Super Bowl. Seems like a lot on the table. 855-212-4227. Big day for us today. It's on the record day. Super Bowl pick happening. Playoff picks happening. Written in stone. We are also going to make some very oddly specific predictions for the season. Just very uncharacteristically specific. Oddly specific. We also have some news for you out of San Francisco with regards to Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams. It was a big day for the 49ers yesterday. We have all the latest for you next. It's Maggie and Pearl. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. Maggie, I want my money back if the 49ers just go out there and roll over everybody, because they've had more news this offseason than any team in the league. Obviously, they've had gone back and forth with contracts. I saw a meme out there that's going around on the Niners that EJ would understand. I don't totally understand it, but it's a picture of Spider-Man with half his jersey burned. It's a dramatic moment, and that is what the San Francisco 49ers fan experience has been. They've worn and tattered by this long offseason. But what if all that stuff just doesn't matter, and they have Trent Williams in-house now, Brandon Aiyuk's there, Ricky Pearsall will be back in a month. What if they just come out and just like the same old team? Then what? Tell me, Maggie, I'm going to be mad at you.
Why?
Because you, me, everybody, we've been talking about the 49ers all summer. Like, this has to amount to some losses. Otherwise, this is going to be incredibly frustrating to me because no team has put their fan base through more of a ringer in the offseason than the 49ers.
Well, I mean, think of how last season ended. Like, you're coming off of this Super Bowl loss in overtime. It's already painful. And then you go into the season and everyone wants to get paid like you just won the Super Bowl, but you just lost the Super Bowl. So
everyone wants to get. I disagree with that characterization. Everyone wants to get paid what they're worth because they're awesome players.
Right.
It didn't matter if they won the Super Bowl. Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football. It didn't matter if he won or lost. There's not a guy here who's not acting rationally. Brandon Aiyuk, I mean, he's had 1,300 yards last year. If Jalen Waddle's going to make $28 million, he wants $28 million.
Oh, no,
all of this individually makes sense. So I kind of think, like, what were the Niners supposed to do? It's time to pay up. They're really talented.
They are. I think maybe do the contract negotiations feel a little different when you're not coming off of a loss like that, because we saw Debo do this and we saw Nick Bosa do this and we've seen other guys have these sort of maybe somewhat contentious holdouts, not as weird as Brandon Aiyuk, but a little bit contentious, and it didn't feel like it had the weight on it. And you know,
but what difference? Because Bosa was coming off of a good year. Like, they had a great year.
No, because I think there's weight on the organization. Like, I just think it's impossible not to be feeling just A, lots of pressure, B, lots of disappointment. I mean, we saw this with your Philadelphia Eagles and that, story that came out on ESPN. You get off to a 10-1 start and everyone's moping around because they're only remembering what happened in the Super Bowl and how close they came to beating the Chiefs. And I just think there's a real human aspect of this, that it's hard to get the juices back up and get over the disappointment. Brock Purdy's talked about how he wants to change. He talked about watching the film after his wedding and how painful it was because how close they were, And again, like, I think there's a reason for these, the Super Bowl loser doesn't go back to the Super Bowl because everything just gets heightened. And to be honest, a lot of these 49ers players have gone through this twice now in a gut-wrenching kind of way.
Yeah,
and so
probably go through it 3 times. But one thing about every year, like this, they've done this every year, like the Jaquiski chart drop against the Rams. Like,
right. NFC Championship game.
I mean, there's never been a game that's more won. They'd beaten the Rams into the ground, and then the Rams.
The Super Bowl against the Chiefs was won too.
But actually there was a little less time left in the Rams game, and they really should have won that Rams game. But they bounced right back and had another good season. Then they go into Philly, probably the more talented team, and completely lay an egg. So I understand what you're saying. Like, why is this different? Because it's the Super Bowl. I feel like they keep on losing in dramatic fashion. I mean, your Bills went 4 in a row and lost. So, like, they were never gutted by the Super Bowl loss. They came back out there and were scrappy and made it to the next Super Bowl again and again. I think they have a lot more Super Bowl losses in them, Matt.
Oh, gosh. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. 855-212-4227. I would know. It's hard, man. It's really hard. Let's hear a little from Trent Williams, can we? Trent Williams gets a new deal yesterday. Finally, this holdout is over. It's going to be, I think, about $5 million or so in fines, I think, when all is said and done. But he gets $86 million over 3 years with $48 million guaranteed. Here's Trent Williams. Ryan, let's hear cut 3 on how the new deal came together.
We had conversations. I didn't think that it would get this drawn out. But, it's a tough business, and this was a very intricate contract. I wouldn't call it a dispute, but restructure. So it took time to get to where both sides feel like it's a win-win.
Okay, more from Williams. He tries not to think about all the fines that he did amass and has an interesting comparison for this contract negotiation.
Nah, I ain't trying not to think about it. It's one of the things where you kind of know you're going to leverage, it's what, for lack of a better word, it's kind of war. Both sides going to lose a little blood, but wave the white flag at the end. We both signed a little peace treaty. We good.
I mean, it's an interesting analogy to feel like you were at war with the organization that you are such an integral part of.
I'm excited about this. Because of something you said earlier in the week.
What's that?
I don't remember if it was on air. You brought up that Andrew Whitworth, everyone thought he was done at 35. Then 35 to 40, he was a killer at left tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now that he's there for 2 or 3 years, I feel like Trent Williams is going to be really good till he's 38. As you famously said, it's an offensive lineman. You just push guys around.
Don't bring that up. You're going to get me in trouble with the offensive line community.
Yeah, but the reality is, whoa, man. They just got Trent Williams in there for another 3 years. I think the Niners window is bigger than people think. Like, wow, you got Trent Williams. Like, this is a day to celebrate, not to worry about how long it took. If he gets injured in week 1, that'd be a bummer. But hey, you know what? He'll be back next year.
There is a Brandon Aiyuk side to this that we will get to in just a moment. But Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines for us this morning. What's up, Bogusch?
Good morning. Guys, your headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. It's good work if you can get it. Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever clinching a playoff spot without playing yesterday. The franchise's 7-year drought, which tied for the longest in league history, ending when the Chicago Sky lost in Vegas 90-71. Angel Reese's team has dropped 7 in a row despite 12 points and 16 boards. The Phoenix Mercury also clinched a spot courtesy of Chicago losing, and their 74-66 win over the Atlanta Dream. Kalia Copper had 28 for the Mercury. The Kansas City Royal free fall continued last night.
Here's the 1-2. Swung on and drilled high and deep down the left field line. Hooking. Fair ball. Home run. Brian Rocchio with a 2-run home run.
On Guardians Radio, Rocchio drove in 4 in a 7-1 Cleveland win. KC now on a season-worst 7-game skid. Since tying those Guardians for first in the Central last Tuesday, they have given back 5.5 games in the standings. Royal starter Brady Singer looking to their vets for some guidance.
We got a lot of them in here. A lot of those veterans have obviously gone through a full season of ups and downs of baseball, so they got a lot of knowledge, and it's good to have those guys in here to talk us through this.
KC does still have a 4.5 game lead on the Red Sox and Tigers for the last wild card spot. That 0-2 start has officially dropped Florida State out of the AP Top 25. The Noles, the third team since '89 to go from the preseason top 10 to unranked in the first poll. The list again this week begins with Georgia and Ohio State, now followed by Texas, Alabama, and Notre Dame. Oregon goes from 3rd to 7th after a tight win over FCS Idaho.
Did you see USC? 10 spots.
Yeah.
23 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
Perloff, do you believe?
I believe they won their first game.
10 spots is a big jump. That was definitely one of the big headlines coming out of the poll yesterday.
Yeah, and let's see it against the Big Ten. I know you were putting them in the Big Ten title game.
They did against the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian Kelly in week 1. There's some great high school teams that could be Brian Kelly in week 1.
Francis Tiafoe beat Grigor Dimitrov to set up the first All-American men's semifinal at the U.S. Open since 2005. He'll face Taylor Fritz on Friday. And finally, Tom Brady, the best QB ever, top-notch businessman, and all-around good guy. Former Bucs teammate Sean Murphy-Bunting telling Goat Farm Sports that TB12 had 2 lockers in Tampa Bay.
And the locker next to him, that's where you put all the stuff that you need him to sign. And so
that's love.
Yeah, and so you put it in there. You put it in there, and then
that's a fun.
At the end of the day, Tom usually would just, what I mean, it would be signed.
It was kind of understood, like, all right, you the GOAT, bro. Sign this for
me. Yeah, he knew.
And Murphy-Bunting will never forget it.
That's how good of a teammate he was. Like, obviously, if you were in that position, I'm in that position. You get a little like, I don't feel like doing all this today, but. I mean, it was never a complaint from him, bro. Every time somebody needed something from him, signed ball, signed jersey, picture, like whatever, he was doing it. I've only seen that with Tom.
Can you imagine the ego boost that Tom Brady must have got on a daily basis from having grown men, professional athletes, ask him to sign stuff for them?
Oh, I don't even think he noticed it anymore. But I what I did like about this story, Brady I'm glad he didn't gatekeep his autographs and stuff because they go for a lot of money. If he wanted to, he could probably be like, hey, guys, sorry, I got a deal with Fanatics or whatever, and I can't really get this for you. And the fact that he was just willy-nilly signing stuff knowing it's going to end up like in Cousin Ed's closet or whatever, I kind of like this from Brady. He knows what he is. It's I like when people acknowledge, listen, I'm a great quarterback, I'm a great athlete, people want a piece of me, and I'm not going to hold that against my teammates.
One of my favorite stories like this. Remember when Aaron Rodgers, when he was his last game as a Packer, the Lions rookie Jameson Williams came up to him and said, "Can I have your jersey?" And Aaron Rodgers was like, "No." I think it's hard. I think it's hard to turn down like other players. Like another player comes up to you, then I think there's a lot of pressure. But to say no, I think like Jameson
I'm going to keep this one, young guy.
Yeah. Can I have your game worn jersey? But your
last game
that is such an
Lambeau?
interesting point. I wonder if the Tom Brady market is a little depressed because there's so many things out there on eBay.
Like he'll sign anything.
Like I think that whole game is about rarity, right? So I don't know. Tom Brady, of course, who is basically business partners with Michael Rubin at this point, probably gets advice on this. I agree with you, though. He doesn't even notice. Like, his ego can't be any higher. I disagree with you a little bit there, Pat. I think those rings did plenty. I don't think the left tackle coming up and say, "Can I have your cleats?"
It's funny because I would think the rarity would also be a thing, right? It's like we're talking about the Honus Wagner cards and like why things, Ken Griffey rookie cards and stuff, why are they so valuable? But then we're at Fanatics Fest, and it's $500 for a picture with Peyton Manning. I'm like, Peyton Manning, that's still $500. I get it. He's a 5-time MVP. He's Peyton Manning. But Peyton Manning also seems, not that he's accessible, but he's around. He's in the public eye quite a bit. I was surprised it was that much for a photo with him. And Eli, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, is that because I think that's because you want to put that photo on your wall. That's not to resell, is it? Like, why would you you don't have your son take a picture with, so that's pretty cool. Imagine if you're a giant Peyton Manning fan and you have a picture on your wall of your
and you get
son
the
and Peyton Manning.
story of meeting him and all that.
I guess
it's worth $500.
Still a little pricey, but
That's a lot.
I think
EJ.
that's a price. I think that's the price of social media. To me, it's you can now go and take that picture, put it on Instagram, and get your 300, 400 likes, the most likes you'll probably ever have on your Instagram. I think that's all that is. Because to me, like, you're right. Like, I don't know why a picture would cost that much. But now so many people want to get those likes. They want to get that engagement on their own social media. So now you can charge as much for the memorabilia as you could for the picture, just so you can have the Instagram moment or your, TikTok moment of whatever you want with Eli Manning.
Well, but even without social media, I mean, that used to, like, and I'm going to go back in our day, but like that used to be one of the most amazing things if you would like actually happen to encounter an athlete and get a photo or an autograph. And it felt very like not serendipitous if you're doing it at the game, but it's like, wow, I once met Dr. J at an airport when I was like 9.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap, that's so cool. Never thought for mass consumption. It was just like you have your own, you just have it for yourself.
Also, too, I totally get what you're saying about social media, but also I think you show your phone to people. Hey, I got this photo with so-and-so. Want to see it on my phone. It's like something to show people at a bar or something.
Bogus,
so it's very valuable to me.
Your son, Jake, is how old?
Almost 11.
Almost 11. He's really in his sports fandom right now.
Oh, yeah.
As a dad, how much would you pay for him to get a picture with his favorite athlete?
Not a lot. I kind of don't believe in that. Like, I'd rather have just the luck of walking into somebody or, to be honest, like, not that I'm in anywhere near important, but like I do have a couple of different like paths to meeting these people. Like I'd rather write a couple of emails and get them like, like into a clubhouse on the field for like batting practice, something like that, than just go somewhere and give something for a picture that, I mean, it's never going to mean anything to the person, to the athlete.
Right.
But I'd rather be slightly more organic than just like going to a store and buying a picture with somebody.
Also, since I've seen Jake play baseball, I think that money...
You're not going to miss a chance to do this, huh?
That money is better invested in education because maybe instead of a picture with an athlete, get a math tutor because he's going to need to be smart.
Do I need to go to one of your daughter's meets and pray for her to sink? Like, how do I get retribution for this?
I'm just saying, like, Jake's path to success is probably not on the athletic field. It's probably through the classroom. He's a smart kid. That was a compliment.
Yeah, it was a compliment. Perloff taking out the 10-year-old Little League team repeatedly.
I just think, Wait, are you mad at that?
I don't think he's thrilled.
Yeah, that one seemed gratuitous. That didn't seem necessary.
I'm just saying, if he's like, Dad, can you spend $150 on a Francisco Lindor photo instead? I don't know. Buy him a
What, an
book.
Accounting lesson? Like, what do you want him to do here? Become a CPA?
Yeah, my kids are, by the way, I can say this because, and my kids are not listening. They are terrible athletes. They got the Perloff genes. They can't run. They can't jump. They're barely coordinated. So listen. Yeah.
Nice.
Screw this kid.
Kid.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Maggie thinks he was born 3 days ago. You think he's an adult worthy of criticism.
Honestly, the day that Jake came in and I just saw how little a child, he's 10, he's a child. You're making fun of the Little League team. It's the worst.
Just have bogus motivation for Jake. Poster with Perloff's picture and a quote, "This kid sucks."
No, by the way, can I say?
He's the nicest and sweetest
Can I say
kid.
one thing? I've seen Jake's team. Jake's the Jose Canseco of this team. I mean, they're bad. Jake's pretty good. They're bad. And you can't even argue with that. The game I saw, the performance was not great, Bogus.
It was not a good day.
They tried to move Jake. They had so many vulnerabilities. Like, can Jake play 2 positions? They were so bad. Anyway, I'm saying that's it.
Can he pitch and then catch at the same time?
Casey at the bat. He's got to do every single position. All right. Well, thank you, Bogus.
Yeah, my pleasure, Maggie.
All of that.
And only Maggie.
So many things. We mentioned Brandon Aiyuk yesterday. Big admission that he made yesterday. I don't think 49er fans are going to feel all that good about this. You feel good about the contract he signed, but I don't know if you're going to like this part. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I don't know if you get brownie points or some kind of points, Perloff, for being self-aware. I think it's actually going to go the opposite way with Brandon Aiyuk. Aiyuk of the 49ers finally signed his contract a couple days ago. He got the big deal, the 4 years, the $120 million, what was it, $77 million guaranteed, whatever it was. Here's Aiyuk yesterday speaking with reporters, admitting that this deal probably could have been signed sooner.
I think, I'm not going to lie, I made it a little bit more difficult than it needed to at the end. But yeah, it was like that from I'm not going to say the whole entire time, but for about the past month, I think we were pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think 49er fans are going to appreciate that level of honesty, Perloff. I don't. And I think if Brandon Aiyuk either gets out of the gate slowly, soft tissue injuries, not as explosive, a big drop, something like that, I think fans are going to be ticked off because this all could have been resolved much, much sooner.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple kinds of holdouts, but one of them is I don't want to practice. That's Trent Williams is 100%. I'm not going out there. I'm 35 years old. I'm too old. These knees are just too stiff to practice in training camp. I'm going to hold out. But I think you're right. I think this does not look great. I'm not sure the 49ers have time to focus on Brandon Aiyuk. So I think there's so much going on there that this will get lost. I don't see him getting any real blowback on this for some reason. Also, too, he did sort of temper his quote there saying, listen, this was, we were in good shape the whole time. I don't think he's saying like, I got them. I just got missed 3 weeks of training camp. Did you hear him bragging about missing camp? That's not the vibe I got.
No. It wasn't the brag of missing camp. I think he's admitting like, man, if I could have done it over again, I think it was that same deal was on the table August 12th, and I didn't take it until basically September, and I should have just signed. And I could have saved maybe everybody a little bit of agony. And I think there's another part of this too. Trent Williams said it yesterday that after what happened with Ricky Pearsall, where he gets robbed and shot in broad daylight in this really scary situation that thank God he's going to recover from and something tragic didn't happen. I wonder if there was like what are we doing? I mean, Trent Williams said that he saw the Ricky Pearsall and it made him want to come back to camp or made it come back to the team because it's like, I got to be there for my teammates. Maybe it puts a little bit in perspective for everybody. Like, what are we quibbling over here? A couple $100,000 or even $1 million when there's bigger things going on in the world, I guess. Right. I don't know.
It's funny you say that. Like, what are we quibbling over? A couple $100,000, and we're all like, man, I would do anything for a couple $100,000. But in this world, you're right. That's really interesting. That's a good point. I think that there's a lot to be said for getting in camp and saving a little money for the team. Now, I know I don't want to be pro team, but like Tom Brady took just like $1 million less or $1.5 million less.
Yeah, but Tom Brady's earning power
Yeah, but Aiyuk
It was once Tom Brady won the first Super Bowl, let alone the second one, let alone the third one. You're in that's a luxury to be able to take less because he knows he'll earn money for the rest of his life.
But Aiyuk definitely took less here. According to all the reports, he was offered more by the Patriots and said, I do think there's something to be said for winning and all that. I think there's value in that. I think there's also, and I think this applies to Dak Prescott, who we were talking about earlier, there's value for staying in the same team. You become more marketable in your post-career. Like, there's a lot to gain here for BA to stay in San Francisco.
He wanted to stay, I think. I do. I wasn't sure the team actually wanted him. I think that he did want to stay. He wanted the cake and eat it, too. I want the money, and I want to be on a contender. And, him now saying, geez, I made this more difficult at the end, I don't think helps his cause if he gets off to a slow start. I think fans are already kind of ticked off at how this went and kind of a little frustrated. Yeah. And they could pile on him. Rich is in California, wants to talk about the 49ers. Good morning, Rich.
Yeah, this has been a marvelous excursion in how the sausage gets made.
Yeah, isn't it?
The fact of the matter is, I wonder what would have happened if Bill Walsh had been running the 49ers.
He would have cut
late,
everybody.
There seems to be a tremendous amount of histrionics and off-field drama, and Brandon Aiyuk is not the first. There's a nice long list in front of them. They're setting a rather poor, and the point is, at some point they're going to have to put their foot down, and I don't care who that player is, the next guy after that is going to feel severely put on.
Rich, I don't think so. I appreciate your points, and you're making good ones, but I just am going to disagree. Every 49er who has held out, held in, wanted a new contract, they all got him. And Purdy's going to get paid. Debo got paid.
Yeah,
Brissett got paid.
Somehow they have like $60 million left this year.
Yeah, they just restructured Debo. Aiyuk got paid. Yeah. Trent Williams got what he wanted. Everyone's getting what they want.
You say it like that's a bad thing. Like
No, it's not. Yeah. I'm just saying I don't think the next guy is going to feel it. Like, what would Bill Walsh do? Like, I don't know. They seem to be re-signing everybody. By the way, Kyle Shanahan is not the modern-day Bill Walsh, but he's a respected top 3 head coach in the league right now.
Yeah, well, Walsh kicked Montana out the door for Steve Young, so he was hardcore.
That is true.
But it was a much different financial league back then.
That's true as well. Perloff and I are going on the record, and we're not looking back. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL season starts tomorrow, which means Perloff and I have to go on the record. No more messing around, Pearl. We've got to make some playoff predictions. We're going to make our Super Bowl pick later on in the show. And, you know, we don't run from a challenge around here. We pay off our bets around here. I know there's a lot of questioning about whether or not Perloff is actually driving to San Antonio. Don't worry, everyone. He's driving to San Antonio. We always pay off our bets here on the Maggie and Perloff show. We've got many more brewing and percolating. And today we're going on the record with our playoff picks, and this is going to be it, set in stone.
Wait, do you know something I don't know about the San Antonio trip? Because I was just talking to somebody about where's the corporate help on this trip? I'm sorry.
What do you need to hold your hand to get through Indianapolis? You can do this, dude.
I'm fine driving. The question is, I'm going to need some financial help here if any sponsors are listening. It is getting expensive, Maggie.
I know. And that's a you problem.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have called him Wen Bust Yama, and then maybe you wouldn't have found yourself in this
When
predicament.
I said that, I didn't understand the level of inflation that we're going to have in 2024 in the travel business.
Don't make this political.
I'm not making it political. I'm just saying, like, the rental car industry is getting more expensive by the day. Anyway, go ahead. What were we saying?
Well,
Nobody wants to hear my woes about Avis.
If you had just agreed to have Bogish ride shotgun along with you, then
what difference would that make?
Maybe chip in for gas.
No, I don't think
so. Maybe not. I mean, listen, it's your bet. We're going to make it happen. But the point of the matter is that when we say we're going to do something, we do it around here.
We might even have to drive our own car to San Antonio and back in a 3-day span. That's how committed we are to actually doing things.
And mine's all electric, so it's going to be a really long ride. I have to stop and recharge it all the time. Anyway, we're going to make it happen. We don't mess around here. So we're going to be sprinkling our predictions throughout the show today, and we start with the NFC. This is Perloff's conference, Philadelphia Eagles. We are going to make our playoff picks. I'd love to know a little about your process, Pearl. But if you would like to get us started, you can just get on up.
I'm going to be totally honest. There was one metric that to me was the most important that I try. You want to guess what stat or what kind of stat I used? The
weather.
Close.
Travel.
I used Warren Sharp's strength of schedule.
Okay.
So Warren Sharp is a football analyst who updates his strength of schedule based on the Vegas odds. So there's a normal strength of schedule based on last year's opponents. Then he does the strength of schedule based on what the win projections are from Vegas, which are a pretty good metric. The public's actually usually pretty right on these things. So I am avoiding teams with ridiculous schedules and picking teams with good schedules. I always choose that as my tiebreakers. That was the most important thing to me. So which do you want to start running them down, or do you want to go over your process first?
No, I mean, my process was I took every schedule of every team in the NFL, and we're talking about the NFC right now, and I went through and did wins-loss and went through with the schedule, made sure they all matched up like a Sudoku box to make sure I had everything even. If I gave the loss here, I gave the win here, and vice versa on all the schedules, and that was my process.
All right. I love it. Perfect. I'm curious, you have any 1 or 2 win teams?
Not 2, but close.
Yeah. All right. Let's do NFC East. I'm going to start off.
Go ahead.
This division will be won by the same team as last year, the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
So the win total is a 9.5 for the Cowboys. There's been nothing but positive reports about their young players. Now, maybe I'm buying too much into them, but everything that went wrong last year, their run defense and their run game, the run game might not be any better, but I think the run defense will be better. They have a lot of bodies they're throwing at this. So I think they get better in that area. I think Dak Prescott being on a contract year feels like a good thing to me. That's a positive. I think CeeDee Lamb has been totally steady. Now, my issue with their offense have always been it's CeeDee Lamb or bust. I don't know how they solve that, but Brandon Cooks apparently looks okay. Jake Ferguson is great at tight end. Tried to get him last night in my fantasy football draft. Failed. And they have these young offensive linemen that I think are going to immediately deliver. Now, a rookie left tackle is not usually a good thing. We'll see if he plays left tackle. But the Cowboys are just idiot savants at drafting linemen, Maggie. I don't know what it is. They got this guy, Cooper Beebe, in the 3rd round, who looks like he should have gone higher. They're amazing at that. So I think they're filling a lot of holes from last year, and they're going to win this division again.
All right. I picked your Philadelphia Eagles to win the NFC East. I have Philadelphia at a very robust 12-5 this year. And the reason why is this schedule actually shakes out, I think, rather well for you. And especially at the end of the season, where I have you winning 4 of your last 5 games. Carolina, Pittsburgh. I have you losing at Washington just because division games are weird. And then winning home Dallas and the New York Giants. I think that you have this final push. I don't love an early bye, but that's fine. You have this final push of very winnable games. And I think that for Philly, you've got to obviously do a little flip-flop of last year. Last year, you got off to a 10-1 start, totally cratered at the end of the season. If you are peaking with this sort of runway and launch pad at the end of the season with some easy W's, I think the Giants could be really bad. I have Dallas taking a step back this year and going 9-8, spoiler, which we can talk about a little bit later. But Philadelphia, to me, even if they make a switch at coach mid-season, which I think is possible, where Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts just aren't getting along, and even if they're winning, it just the vibes aren't good, or something, they have not figured out their communication issues. I think you're just putting, elevating one of your coordinators, and I still think that the Eagles have this sort of machine. I just don't think Sirianni is important to what you do.
So you're saying
Eagles are good.
Yeah, the Eagles are good.
You think they could go 12-5 and fire their coach midseason?
We're going to do oddly specific predictions for the season later on.
You realize that doesn't make logical sense?
It's never been done before, but the Eagles thrive off of zagging when everyone else zigs. Again, we had an article that came out in ESPN that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts couldn't be in the same room together having a meeting because they're not can't communicate.
Right.
If any shades of that are happening early in the season, even if they're winning, I think Sirianni actually gets shuttled out.
Okay. By the way, you said they have a launching pad at the end of the season. Remember last year, they were still fighting tooth and nail for playoff seeding. They lost to Seattle, barely beat the Giants, lost to Arizona, and then got killed by the Giants. Like, you don't get any easier games than that, and they blew their entire. They proved last year they could lose to anybody.
I also have
but I don't know, why is it not going to suck again this year? Like, what's different? I mean, their defense could still be terrible. They were the worst defense in the league by the end of last year.
Yeah, but they changed out their coordinator and they got upgrades. I also have you starting 6-0, by the way. Okay,
starting 6-0 and still firing Nick Sirianni midseason?
It's possible.
It's not possible.
Let's move on. So NFC East, you have Dallas, I have Philly. Go on to the NFC North.
The NFC North is the most awesome division of all time. I love everything about this.
Me too.
I'm picking the Detroit Lions to win the regular season NFC North championship. I mean, honestly, if I got tattoos, I would get a Jahmyr Gibbs tattoo. That guy is so awesome. Hopefully he's healthy. And they just have so many weapons they can hit you with. Obviously, Sam Laporta is, I think, the number one tight end in the league. They have all these receivers. Amon-Ra is a first down machine. We'll see some Jameson Williams this year. Count me fully in, Detroit.
I have the Green Bay Packers winning the NFC North and going a very robust 13-4. I am very, very high on Green Bay, putting a lot of stock into what they're doing, even though I see a lot of wins here right at the early part of the schedule. Spoiler, I have them losing to your Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil, but then ripping off wins against Indy and Tennessee and Minnesota and Arizona. I have them winning a showdown against Houston in Lambeau. I see this as like the natural progression of things with Jordan Love. What more do you have to see from the Green Bay Packers? They know how to do this, guys, with the quarterbacks, clearly. Might have been critical draft night. Aaron Rodgers didn't like it when they took Jordan Love in 2020. But, dude, this formula works. And not a lot of teams can pull this off because you have owners that get impatient and you have lots of bad teams out there. The Packers are not one of them. They're disciplined about this kind of thing, and Jordan Love is the key. And then they have a new defensive coordinator, which is a little interesting because they brought over Mark Hafley from Boston College, who was in the news beating Florida State the other day. Their defense has got to find this mojo. There's too much talent on this side of the ball for them to underachieve. And I think Green Bay, I think they do take a step forward, putting a lot of eggs into a college coach's basket there, I realize. But I have Green Bay 13-4.
So I'm sorry, who do you have in that Week 1 game in Brazil?
I have your Eagles winning.
Okay, so that means
they start off with a loss, but then they win the next 3.
Yeah, I feel I view one thing a little differently. Like, the Packers' schedule is brutal. There's a lot of, I don't know how this happened, but they just have a lot of good teams on here. Like
but some of them they get at home. So they get Houston at home, they get San Francisco at home, they get Miami at home, and that's a Thanksgiving game, I believe.
Yeah, okay, I like it. NFC South, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time talking about this division because whoever wins is going to be 9-8. Just feels like, hand it to the Falcons. Let's just do this thing. Let's get it over with. Give Atlanta the NFC South.
You know, it's funny. I really tried here to go with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I really wanted the Bucks to win this division, but as I'm laying out my whole schedules and doing wins and losses, not only do I have Atlanta winning the NFC South, I have Atlanta getting to 11 games. 11 wins, guys. There are lots of W's on this schedule. And again, we talked about it with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll say this also for Atlanta. I think Michael Penix might be under center for these games, but you end your season at Minnesota, I think is not going to be good. At the Raiders, I don't think is going to be good. The New York Giants, who are not going to be good. At Washington, and then Carolina. You could end your season with 5 straight wins. And to me, even with Penix under center, potentially for those, I think that's how you get to 11-6 with the Atlanta Falcons. Again, I tried with Tampa, but their schedule is just harder because it's a first-place schedule.
Yeah, we don't know a thing about what the Saints are going to do. They could be either really terrible or be for 8-9 one more time and somehow in Week 17 play a showdown game. Okay, NFC West.
Yep, this was tough.
This is a good division.
Yeah, very good.
But, I mean, come on. How can you bet against the 49ers? Everybody is there. Despite the drama, everyone's there. If they're healthy, they're clearly a cut above those other two teams to me. So I'm sticking with San Francisco. I understand there's a couple renegade threats there. I just think, you know what? At the end of the day, there's a lot of noise. But right now, all that noise has sort of settled itself. Trent Williams is there. Deebo Samuel's there. George Kittle's there. Brandon Ayuk's there. I also think that they'll step up on defense last year. I really did not like their defense last year. They looked completely non-aggressive. They went from ferocious to hanging on for dear life. I don't know how it happened. Felt like Nick Bosa was the only one who put out any effort last year. I thought Fred Warner even looked bad last year. Couldn't cover anybody. I think that is all fixed this year, and they're kind of more of a two-headed monster where the defense wins some games too.
So I actually have the Rams winning the NFC West. I have the Rams and San Francisco both finishing with twin 12-5 records, and I have the Rams with a better divisional record and winning like a tiebreak over them. So I have the Rams winning at 12-5. Here's why. I think there's a middle stretch of the Rams' schedule that is very favorable, and that's at Chicago, then Green Bay, then a bye, then Vegas, Minnesota. At Seattle, I have a loss. Then Miami, at New England. Philadelphia, I have a W. At New Orleans, and I have them beating Buffalo as well. So I have this middle stretch with a healthy Matthew Stafford, hopefully, where they really start to put a little distance as opposed to San Francisco, who challenging schedule. So I have 12-5. So I actually have, and let's just play this out now. If we had done our division leaders
Wait,
here.
sorry, you had San Francisco at 12 wins as well. You said it was a tie.
Yep, and I have San Francisco as the wild card, the first wild card. So my other two wild cards, I have Detroit as my other wild card with Green Bay win the division. I have Detroit at 12-5, and I have Seattle as my final wild card at 10-7.
But I don't understand. You did game by game. You have the Eagles at 12 wins. You have the Packers at 13 wins.
Yep.
You have San Francisco and LA both with 12 wins, and Atlanta with 11 wins.
Yes.
There are going to be some bottom feeders in this conference then, in your opinion.
In my opinion, I think that the Carolina Panthers are going to be awful bad. I think that the Giants are going to be very bad. I think the Saints are going to be that's my zag is I think also the Saints are going to be very bad. So I've got some bottom feeders in the NFC.
Okay, my wild cards are the Eagles, the Packers, and the Los Angeles Rams. So I think we're pretty much aligned. You know who I had so much trouble leaving out because I love everything about them? The Seahawks.
So I put them in. I had to do the wins losses, and I got them to 10-7. I'm a little nervous because a new head coach and all that, but I think their defense is gonna be a lot better.
Doesn't feel like they've been flirting around 8, 9, 10 wins for like 3 or 4 years. Honestly, like what were they 9-8 last year? Feels like nothing changes there except it is a new coach. They have so many weapons. Like Geno could have a huge season. I think DK Metcalf is going to be awesome this year. And they have JSN. They could be really good. But they've been this team for a few years now. Like, what is it? Is McDonald going to take them over the top? I'm not sure.
Well, their defense was really bad last year under Pete Carroll, and that's shocking. But maybe he lost a little bit. Why I like Seattle to get to that 10-7 and get the wild card is some of these at home. Like you're Denver at home, you get Miami at home, you get the New York Giants, you get Buffalo at home, you get Green Bay at home, Minnesota at home. It's just there are W's here for Seattle, and that's how I got them to 10-7. I have Dallas going 9-8 and missing the playoffs this year. Just a FYI.
So that means
Dave
you got to get 10 to get to the wild card in this model.
I have Chicago going 8-9, missing the playoffs. I have Tampa going 8-9.
Oh, that's another team I liked too, Chicago.
I tried to get there, but I couldn't.
I mean, their schedule is easy. That is one where that schedule jumps out to you as maybe the second easiest behind the Falcons, because the Falcons have that NFC South. Yeah, I just watched the last Hard Knocks last night. That was killing me. Just like Ryan Poles started crying when he had to cut a guy, I started crying when I couldn't put the Bears.
Hard Knocks is over?
No, because I couldn't put the Bears in my playoff picture. It came down to me. It's funny. I liked the Rams, Seahawks, and Bears for that last spot. I honestly think one of the reasons I have the Eagles in there is I kind of agree that the Giants and maybe the Commanders will feed some wins. The Cowboys always beat the Giants. That's I don't see that trend reversing. So I think you get a little head start right there if you're Dallas. I still have them winning 10, 11, 12 games. Their over-under now is 9.5. We talked about that. Feels like a safe over to me. I mean, you have them even at 9, you have them sort of struggling and being at 9. That's close. You get those wins over those divisional games. I see like the Seahawks and the Rams, like, man, that's going to be tough. I think Arizona's going to be a little feisty this year. I think that division is way tougher.
I have Washington being a little feisty at 7-10.
Yeah,
so that's
I
where
see that.
I couldn't just hand these division wins now to the Dallas Cowboys. I have them splitting with the Eagles. I have them winning the Giants, and I have them splitting with Washington.
Yeah.
winning both against the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, at some point the Giants are going to beat the Cowboys, right? But I still feel like if I'm looking at division by division, the NFC West is just kind of talented. So, and the NFC North is going to beat up on itself a little bit too. That's why I have trouble getting to those gaudy win numbers for Green Bay. I just think that if you look at the landscape of the NFL and the NFC, like feels like certain divisions have all the good teams, and that's going to.
Yep.
And I really think that NFC North is loaded.
I do too. That's why I have both Detroit and Green Bay. Couldn't get there with Chicago. I think Minnesota's not going to be good. And
I don't think Minnesota's going to be terrible.
Sam Darnold is not.
Yeah, but they're
not a good quarterback.
They're going to get out there with some Brian Flores blitzes, and they're going to lob some balls to Justin Jefferson. And I just don't think they're going to be like a 3-win team. I think that they're going to upset a bunch of people. Just if that's your bad team, look how much talent there for a bad team. You're right about Sam Darnold. That's the only concern.
The other quarterbacks are going to, and offenses, I mean, are just going to blow them away. I know you have Justin Jefferson, but how great is one? If you have a really great wide receiver, we see this with Devontae Adams in Las Vegas. You can have a great wide receiver. If they don't have a good quarterback or a dynamic offense, I don't know how they're getting their numbers.
I just think you have a really good play calling staff on offense, and I think you are going to have a feisty defense. And guys like Caleb Williams, like he's going to see things he's never seen against that team. I just feel like they're like one of those upset teams.
There you go. 855-212-4227. You can weigh in on the NFC. That's our playoff picture right there. We'll tweet it out. Again, just recapping the teams we think are going to make it. I think it's Philadelphia, Green Bay, Atlanta, and the Rams as your division winners, with San Francisco, Detroit, and Seattle as your wild card teams. I have the Dallas Cowboys missing the playoffs this year. Perloff?
I go NFC East Cowboys, North Lions, South Falcons, West 49ers, wildcard Eagles, Packers, and Rams.
Okay, lots more to do, including the latest from last night as the season is about to kick off tomorrow. Teams still making some adjustments, including what's going on with Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. We will make our AFC predictions coming up at the top of the hour, Super Bowl prediction later in the show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We just shared our NFC playoff picks. We'll have our AFC soon. Real quick, I tell you a story from my fantasy football draft last night, Maggie.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Bad. It went really bad.
What was your
we did
grade?
I give myself a C-. So we did an auction draft where you bid money on players.
Sure.
And we set values on every player in the top, say, 200.
You saying we because you
I
did
have a
this
partner.
with someone else, right?
Yes, my partner, John Hershey, longtime partner. Shout out, Hirsch. So,
should I be jealous of this guy? Like, you guys have your own thing. I
No.
feel like, you know,
He's a childhood friend. Like, you're not breaking in on that one. Like, that's like a kid friend thing. Like,
okay.
No, we lose every year, so it doesn't matter.
I'm definitely not jealous.
And we have multiple things going. Like, we have many bites of the apple, different leagues, different. You're not allowed to call them suicide pools anymore.
Yeah,
but
survivor
pools. So here, this is our big money league. We put everything into this. We have a value set on every player, and we're like, we are going to stick to the plan this year. We're not going to blow our entire budget by the third pick.
Yeah.
Somebody nominates Isaiah Pacheco. We have him valued at 42.
Yeah.
It's at 38. And we're like, well, we can't let Isaiah Pacheco, he got red hot at the end of last year. We can't let him go under budget. Let's put it in a bid. Proceed to get in a bidding war, overpay for Isaiah Pacheco, blow our entire budget by the 8th pick of the whole thing. End up, we couldn't get anybody we wanted because we had no money.
Oh, my gosh.
We had basically...
So your whole season is basically Isaiah Pacheco or bust?
We have the most top-heavy roster. We basically have 4 players, and then we have everybody else costs $1. So, like, backup... We're starting like
strategy.
The Titans backup tight end is our starting tight end. Our quarterback, there was a moment where we said, do we have to start Daniel Jones?
Oh,
that's how bad. No, Maggie, this was cap mismanagement on the Perloff side.
You guys have been doing this now for how many years? You've been partners and you lose every year and you're still doing it?
Well, we've won a couple of times, but we are quite impulsive. Like, I fall in love.
Maybe this is not a good match.
I just fall in love with players. I can't help it. Once if you see Isaiah Pacheco floating out there for $38, you got to jump on that. I mean,
yeah, but Andy Reid at the goal. I know yards.
Dude, he's been a touchdown machine the last half of the season. He quietly just got a lot of red zone carries. He's going to be great, but he's not enough.
Andy Reid really kind of spreads the wealth in the red zone. No.
Let's see. In his last 7 games, he had 9 touchdowns. So he hasn't been spreading a lot. He had a touchdown in every playoff game, I did this whole thing last night because I was trying to wrestle him. Every game except the Super Bowl, he had one touchdown at least. He's a big deal. He's a really good player. The problem is, Maggie, the running backs are really unreliable.
Yeah.
So everyone ended up paying up for it because of the nature of the position anymore. Like, you know who went for a lot of money? James Cook, the Bills guy, because at least he's going to start. You don't even know out there.
I know.
It's a wild seed. Like, who's the Cowboys starting running back? I don't even know.
I think it's Rico Dowdle.
It's probably Dowdle, but people think it might be Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, listen, nobody wants to hear about your fantasy team, but if you want to, send me a message and I'll tell you the woe is me stories of how we ended up with Will Levis.
Honestly, I'm not surprised that you would be kind of impulsive about this.
Oh,
just like as soon as there's something within reach, Perloff wants it.
I fall in love. Yeah, I mean, I didn't pick any Eagles. I did that. I was very disciplined about that.
But you have there's a lot of good skill position players on the Eagles. Like that could have been smart to go with an Eagle.
No. If you love a team like you love the Buffalo Bills, do not bet on them and do not do any fantasy activity with them. Just stay out. Isn't that the best policy?
I generally don't bet on the Bills. Why do I want to add insult to my injury?
You want to use your head, not your heart.
I don't want to betting against them, and I don't want to do that.
You don't want to emotionally hedge?
There's also 31 other teams I can bet on. So.
Right. Do you trust your instincts on the Bills, though? Don't you feel like your emotion will cloud your logic? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm harder on my own team than other teams.
Yeah. I did pay $37 for Drake London. Going to regret that move.
Wow. What is going on with
this
draft?
I mean, listen.
$7 for Drake
Kirk
London.
Cousins throws a catchable ball. Someone's got to catch those. He's going to have 4,500 yards, and we think Drake London is going to be the main recipient.
All right.
There you go.
Keep us updated, Pearl.
Yeah. I'll keep you year to year.
I remember at one point, I think you were down to like KJ Osborne and like a bunch of...
KJ Osborne was auto-picked because my internet went out by Yahoo. So I always think of auto-pick KJ Osborne. By the way, we saw him in the preseason somewhere. He was actually getting a lot of action, and I'm totally blanking where he is. But that's the level of player I have on my team right now. My partner's like, who is this guy? I'm like, I don't know, but we only have $1 left. We are buying him.
They actually pay you to take
Daniel KJ Osborne's in New England. He could be like the number one receiver.
That's possible. Bogus, you do your fantasy draft yet?
Last night, actually.
Yeah.
Hey, did you also fall in love with Isaiah Pacheco?
I wanted to pick Isaiah Pacheco, but it was not possible.
Yeah,
that was a straight draft, no auction.
Yeah. Do you do the same thing where you make a pick and be like, I can't believe I just did that?
I had no immediate regret like that last night, but I was in what I think is everybody feels like there were like 4 or 5 picks in a row where the guy I wanted went like 2 picks ahead of me, and you think you're being smart, like just get back to me. And I had the second pick in a snake draft, so I had those huge gaps between selections.
Oh, so you got to see your guys coming off the board.
It's killer.
You're like, I'll never draft this guy, and then someone else drafts you. And you're like, I just wanted that guy.
Oh, I do that too.
Like, I'm not going with DK Metcalf this year. It's like, oh no, I would kill for DK Metcalf.
Is there a word for that? Is it fantasy buyer's remorse or fantasy remorse? Because I'm the king of that.
Yeah,
but
it's not a good feeling.
That feeling when you have like a tight end circled and you're like, oh, I can't believe it's the 11th round. I'm getting this guy, and then Bill picks him. There's nothing worse.
Yeah, my league is it's my college friends, and the level of commitment varies significantly between guys. So I thought at one point that I was gonna be the only one who knew that Trey McBride existed, the Cardinals tight end. And I'm sitting there waiting, and 3 picks before somebody took him.
I know.
Kaplan is with you, Perloff, in the chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sports. I said, I'm with Perloff. I hate every pick I make.
Yeah.
It's just immediate fantasy regret.
And then you realize everybody in the draft listened to the same podcast about sleepers. the Ringer Sleepers podcast. I guess we all listened to it because every player in there was bid up to 100%.
That's Rico Dowdle's very popular in all of those sleepers and late round steals. And
how popular was Tony Pollard last year?
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir, by the way, the Buffalo Bills receiver, is ESPN and Ringer's top sleeper. And I'm like, dude, if he's both your top sleeper, he's no longer a sleeper.
On this upstart offense called the Bills.
Yeah. It's like, I got this little sleeper. He's out of Wyoming. His name's Josh Allen.
He's top 5 offense since 2018. Bogish has headlines for us. What's up?
I got headlines sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks and use code M&P and get $50 credit instantly.
Very important.
Or you can use Manned P because at the end of the day, it's the same one.
When you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
By the way, had a tough night last night in Prize Picks. AJ Wilson, you're awesome. Never betting against you again. Caitlin Clark, 21 points. Going over tonight.
Okay.
Let's go.
The
I'm going to be back.
playoff-bound Indiana Fever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's annoying to me that we predicted that after the Olympics she was going to be awesome, and she's done exactly that. Like, she's a machine.
6-1 since the Olympics.
And her numbers are insane. So I'm riding the Caitlin Clark train tonight.
The best part, though, this is why the Prize Picks is really good for you, Perloff, is because when you eventually get to where you're doing 4 and 5, 6, combine, you don't have to get them all perfect to win money.
Yes.
You can get 4 out of 6. You get a little money back if your player gets injured. A lot of safety nets for you.
So fun.
And real quick on Caitlin Clark. She and the Fever officially playoff bound thanks to the Chicago Sky losing in Vegas last night 90-71. Indiana's last postseason appearance was 2016, the 7-year drought tied for the longest in league history. The 17-year-old who allegedly shot Niners rookie receiver Ricky Pearsall during an attempted robbery over the weekend in San Francisco, formally charged yesterday with attempted murder, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, attempted robbery, and other charges. Those charges filed in juvenile court, but prosecutors could ask a judge to transfer it to adult court as their investigation continues.
Yeah, I saw a picture today of the event and where Ricky Pearsall actually walked off after he was shot, where he was holding the wound. It is in the center of his chest. Like, the level of miracle here is, I mean, you brought it up earlier in the show. It just sort of makes you think about life a little bit. It's just crazy that he was able to walk away from that and be back in a month because he was shot, right in the middle of the chest.
And you said you saw that someone, a first responder, ran over right away?
A policewoman came and put pressure on it immediately. They were there really fast. Now, I don't know how important that was to save his life, but it seems like everybody acted really well. The San Francisco police were on top of it. But
just wild that this is in the middle of the day. It's the broad daylight part of it.
Yeah.
This is scary no matter when it would happen, obviously, and thank God he's going to be okay. But the 3:30 in the afternoon in a very public place, and, listen, we live in a big city too, and we realize that things happen and it can be dicey, but you never think 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday, all of a sudden someone's going to rob you at gunpoint and you're going to end up in this type of struggle?
Yeah, here's the detail. Sergeant Joelle Harrell pressed her hand on his chest to create pressure, then put her baseball cap on the exit wound in the back because both were bleeding significantly. So she had the sort of wherewithal, the wherewithal to help this wound from getting much worse. And she said that he started to get very anxious, and she calmed him down by talking to him. I mean, I just get chills thinking about what actually happened there. Great work by everybody. I mean, when he plays football in a month, what's that going to look like?
Well, remember Brian Robinson? This happened with him, the running back for the Washington Commanders, and he was shot in a carjacking, I believe, and he got shot in the leg.
Yeah.
And he came back.
Very quickly. Yeah.
I also don't know if Pearsall is going to be back in a month. He has to miss a month.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So I don't think they've said yet any kind of timeline from coming back. But what they put him on, that non-football injury list, requires you missing the first 4 games.
They said he's going to play this year. They anticipate he plays. I don't know if I'd even put that much pressure. There's got to be a psychological aspect of this too. Maybe being an athlete, you want to get back on the field, you want to have that distraction, but don't you have to leave a little room for the fact that this dude just went through a trauma?
Yeah.
Unlike anything.
Well,
survived a shooting. I mean, to say, all right, we're going to get you back on the field this year. Maybe he should make that decision, not John Lynch.
I mean, we don't do politics, but you have to think of the assassination attempt on Trump too.
I know, and he goes on about his day.
He goes on. I mean,
Crazy.
Pearsall, by the way, was in the weight room yesterday lifting weights.
So, I mean, and you just stay in sports. Clyde Edwards-Helaire talked this summer about PTSD from what we believe is a somewhat of a similar incident that he has wrecked him at times physically, and now he's on the same list where he's out for the first 4 games for the Chiefs, and we think it's because of that. So, and that's to Maggie's point about how hard it is sometimes mentally to get past things.
Wait, we're also forgetting, didn't someone else got a stray bullet this summer? Who
Tank
was
Dell.
it?
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell. Yes,
Right.
thank you, EJ. It's There's another conversation to be had here, but
Brian Robinson seems much stronger mentally after what happened to him. Like, he came back and he's not only a good player, but he's like the emotional leader of that team. So I'm not sure. You're right. I just think these professional athletes do crazy mental things anyway. Just to go out there and get hit by a linebacker takes a certain. I mean, the guy was in the weight room, bogus.
Yeah. Sticking with the NFL, the Patriots, their head coach, Jerod Mayo, began last week by saying Drake Maye had outplayed Jacoby Brissett during the preseason. Last week ended then with Mayo picking the veteran, not the rookie, as his starting QB. So yesterday he tried to explain the discrepancy.
I should have given more context to the comment at the time. Look, Drake had more playing time in the preseason than Jacoby, and that was intentional. So as we talk about the developmental plan, like, we know what it is internally, but that was definitely intentional. We know what Jacoby can do. He's played a lot of ball in this league. We see him every day in practice, and we know what he's done in the NFL as well. So, look, we have full confidence. I have full confidence in Jacoby leading our team.
Going back to yesterday, what does Ninko think of Jacoby Brissett?
Hopefully he thinks more highly of Brissett than Mac Jones.
And for the first time since 2006, an American man will be in the U.S. Open final. That's because Taylor Fritz and Frances Tiafoe won their quarterfinals yesterday, both in 4 sets. Tiafoe technically moving on because Grigor Dimitrov retired 2 games shy of a 4-set loss. So they'll be in a semifinal against each other on Friday. Fritz has won 6 of their 7 previous meetings. An American man hasn't won the event since Andy Roddick back in 2003. Tonight's scheduled at Arthur Ashe Stadium has Jessica Pegula taking on top seed Iga Swiatek. Then men's number 1, Yannick Sinner, meets Daniil Medvedev in the last quarterfinal.
Crazy match last night with Tiafoe. Yeah. Like, the momentum for he came out, was playing amazing, and then the momentum really started to shift. Like, Dimitrov found a little bit of juice, and the McEnroes were just killing Dimitrov on the broadcast. Like, what's he doing? He's got heavy legs. He doesn't seem interested. He's looking at his box. He's looking for answers. And then he started to get a little momentum and then had to pull out of the match. But Tiafoe and Taylor Fritz, the 2 Americans playing each other, first started playing each other when they were 14 years old. And Tiafoe said, this is the biggest match of both of our lives. This is it, Friday. The 2 of them, this is the biggest match they have played to this point for either.
One thing McEnroe said that I don't know. He said once you're down 2 sets, like, the amount of energy it takes to win those last 3 sets is almost undoable. So I don't understand. Like, Tiafoe is ranked lower than this guy, who's clearly the better player from the moment the match started. I don't. It's so weird. And why is Medvedev always there?
Well, because he's really good.
He's always there. He never doesn't lose in the semis or the finals.
So here's the funny thing about the mental aspect of getting down 2 sets. I think there's 2 ways to look at that. First of all, every tennis player at that level has been in every situation. So you've come back from 2 sets. You've come back from probably 2 sets and being down 0-4 in the 3rd set. You've just been in every situation humanly possible. There's also something freeing about you're down 0-2. It's like, all right, I'm just playing free now. Like, I am probably going to lose this match. I might as well go balls to the wall or whatever because I've got nothing to lose. And there's a freeing aspect of it. And then your opponent can get a little tight because once you're up 2-0, well, now you've got to close it out. So there's this weird mental gymnastics that goes on.
Interesting.
Us high-level tennis players know about this.
Yeah, McEnroe doesn't seem to agree with you, by the way. He said,
I mean, what does he know?
He was watching the Alcaraz match, too.
What's he
like,
won?
Once he got down 2-0, he's like, Alcaraz does not have the energy to come back here. I'm not sure. This is going to be cool, though. I think America's going to get back in. Well, we've been lacking an American male for a long time. Yeah. And I think Pegula would be a big deal, too.
This would be massive.
I mean, Coco Gauff would have been better, but this is still pretty good for America.
Coco won last year. So okay.
We spread it out a little bit. I like that.
Everyone gets a taste.
And we got Emma Navarro in the semis tomorrow. Didn't mean to rhyme.
There you go.
About that?
She's probably going to get blown off the court, but
yeah. I mean, you don't know.
Well, why do you think?
Sabalenka's.
Yeah, she's so good.
She's that good.
Offering to buy drinks for the crowd. Smart move.
Yeah.
I'd root for her.
Pegula playing to the Bills fans. Sabalenka's giving out drinks. They're using that mic well after matches.
Honestly, Jessica Pegula is my spirit animal. I love her. She said, people ask if I'm from New York. She goes, no, I'm from Buffalo. Print the shirt.
Oh, my gosh.
So the only way to honor that is for her to light herself on fire and go through a table before she plays Iga.
After chugging 6 Molson and triple X's.
I would think it'd be to get to the final and lose, right? Isn't that the most Buffalo thing?
There you go.
Easy.
There you go.
Sorry.
That's what we needed.
Is it true that Emma Navarro's parents are also really super rich?
Super rich. Her dad is a billionaire tech guy.
Okay, so obviously Jessica Pegula's parents own the Bills, and they're very, very rich. And so there just happens to be 2 chicks who have billionaire parents playing tennis. What are the odds? Of all the sports.
Yeah.
To have rich parents.
What a surprise. Shocker.
But that's even a little crazy. That's very rich.
But you got to give those, as, because
I give them more credit.
You got to give them some credit. I mean, they definitely got a gigantic head start in terms of the opportunities that were available to them. But then to take that and then run with it, rather than being a spoiled rich brat and never fulfilling your potential, that would be super disappointing.
No, I'm more impressed with the super rich kids who do this, because no amount of money and no one else can get your behind out of bed at 5 a.m. to go hit balls. Day after day after day. That has to be you. That's the stuff when nobody's looking. No amount of money or training, that's got to come from within.
Yeah, I don't know if I give them more credit. I mean, I definitely give them a lot of
Some credit.
Yeah. Because, again,
partial credit.
The coaching, the physiotherapy.
But the coach isn't helping you when you're at triple break point.
Yeah, but the training and the opportunities that are available to them that aren't available to somebody who grows up in poverty, it's
that's true.
Not even close.
But again, that's you're living at a tennis academy. Everyone's awesome.
Like that.
You have to separate yourself somehow. It's mental.
True. That's why. Go ahead, Perloff.
I think a sport like soccer, where the entire world has access to sport, to be the best at that is a bigger achievement. Where tennis, there's a small world of people. You have to have a lot of money to get into it.
Generally.
So right. So I'm kind of with Pat on this one. Sorry.
That's why I love Tiafoe's story, because his dad was basically
the janitor.
Yeah,
the maintenance man. Yeah,
his dad is awesome.
And he was
by the way.
sleeping at the tennis, academies or the tennis facilities in D.C., and that's how Tiafoe started getting lessons because of that.
Unreal story. 855-212-4227. Bogues, thanks so much. Lots more to do, including top of the hour. We're going to do our AFC playoff predictions. But coming up, major college football game this Saturday. Michigan, Texas. We're breaking it down next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Knicks fans living in the Big Apple, they're part of the grand plan. Manny and EJ, they're diehard Knicks fans living in the Big Apple, they're part of the grand plan. But they just witnessed the crushing defeat. 76ers taking the victory, man. That's hard to beat. Sitting in the studio talking about the game. Maggie and Perloff, it ain't all the same. Perloff's a Philly fan. It's hard to stand when your team's on top and your heart's in your hand. Man, Manny and EJ, they lost and confused. Knicks played hard, but it wasn't what they used to. Every missed shot, every turn, oh, they saw leaving them shocked. They can't believe what they're in for. Manny and EJ, they're diehard Knicks fans, living in the Big Zoo from NYC, packed his bags with flair. Headed to the Amazon, thought he found some fresh air. But the city's concrete jungle didn't prep him for the greens. Now he's dodging giant bugs, wishing he had jeans. Big Zoo, what you gonna do? In the Amazon jungle, you ain't got a clue. From the subway to the trees, it's a whole new ride. Now you're face to face with nature, nowhere to hide. Tried to hail a taxi, but found a Jaguar instead. Asked it for directions, but it just shook its head. Lost his phone signal, can't Google his way. Now he's stuck in the wild, guess he's here to stay. Big Zoo, what you gonna do? In the Amazon jungle, you ain't got a clue. From the subway to the trees, it's a whole new ride. Now you're face to face with nature, nowhere to hide.
I am Maya Layab.
Jay's back, he's limping in, but he's ready to roll. After that knee took a hit, but it couldn't take his soul. He's been down, he's been out, but now he's back on his feet. Peter Belotti's still missing, but EJ can't be beat. EJ's back in the game, he's pushing through the pain. Peter Belotti's still MIA, but EJ's here to stay. The work don't stop, the show goes on. EJ's fighting hard from dusk till dawn. That knee might have tried to take him down. Andrew Bogusch was perfect on.
Andrew Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show 'em how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead.
Pause on college football for a moment, because major games this weekend, a couple of them stand out. Obviously, Nebraska-Colorado is going to be fun. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Texas and Michigan, to me, is a fascinating game this weekend, specifically because I know Michigan didn't look great in their opener against Fresno State. They ended up winning by 20 points. They dropped a spot in the latest AP poll. But the defense for Michigan still looks very good, right? On offense, there's some questions. I think it was a maybe surprise to certain people that Alex Orji did not actually win that quarterback battle, and it's Davis Warren. Now, they still have Orji coming in with different kind of packages, and he threw a touchdown pass. He's kind of coming in a little bit as a runner, but maybe they're figuring out a little of this quarterback thing on the fly for Michigan. The defense, though, still looks really good. Or they look good. They look good, and I think they are a good defense. To be a touchdown underdog at home to Texas, I feel like they are begging you to take the points in this game, right?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like everyone's down on Michigan. They just lost like half their team to the NFL.
Well, they lost 13 players. Texas lost 11. I mean, this is what happens when you're a good team.
But Texas didn't lose its quarterback, and they didn't lose Blake Corum, and they didn't lose that O-line. I just think that it feels like Michigan, to me, is kind of an afterthought this year because we're seeing all those guys in the NFL now. The one thing about Texas, I think Quinn Ewers has a Derek Carr vibe in the sense that we call Derek Carr the Bermuda Triangle of quarterback evaluation. I think it's really hard to pin down how good Quinn Ewers is at Texas. Like, because I've heard scouts say, oh man, he throws lollipops. And meanwhile, I remember when he came up, he's like, oh, he's the strongest arm recruit in 10 years. I just don't have a strong sense. Is Quinn Ewers like a good Heisman guy? Like, how is he going to respond to this game, a tough defense? Like, he's going up against, obviously, Will Johnson and that secondary. I do not have a strong sense of how good he is. You think you do? It's funny. You're looking at me like I'm crazy here. Like, Quinn Ewers, I think is the hardest quarterback to evaluate.
No, listen, we've talked about this for now years. I thought Arch Manning was already going to have this job. And I think if Texas had actually made it to the championship game last year, I think that Quinn Ewers has probably gone to the NFL, and this is an Arch Manning vehicle and not a Quinn Ewers thing. But no, I'm with you on how good is he really. I think he's really good. But I'm curious about the game plan here because, are you going to need Quinn Ewers to throw the ball 40 times here? Like, is Texas actually going to be able to run the ball? We know they had injuries in their backfield, and against a Michigan front, are you actually going to be able to run the ball at all? Is this whole game going to be on the arm of Quinn Ewers? Yeah, I mean, that really wouldn't be necessarily Sark's style in a game like this. I don't see Quinn Ewers throwing it 50 times, and Michigan's really good at slowing the game down, right? Of course. And I assume Harbaugh. So no, you're convincing me into the points here. Well,
I think I'm going to take Michigan.
Them, aren't they?
They are, which makes you think. Watch out for Texas.
Now, we definitely watched Texas go into Tuscaloosa last year and win. They can go into very difficult places and play well.
The funny thing too is Florida State weighs on your mind with Michigan too. I mean, with Texas rather. Florida State just taking a dive after coming up short last year and then losing all their players to the pros. To me, like when you get gutted by a draft, unless you're Georgia, you are not going to be good next year. And the truth is, they just got gutted. I mean. There's so many good.
Did lose they got Isaiah Bond. I mean, Texas they're doing okay.
No, sorry, I meant Michigan. Michigan just got totally gutted. So that's why I think the spread is going up. I think people are saying like, oh yeah, you know what? They really are going to miss JJ McCarthy. They really are going to miss Blake Corum. They really are going to miss those studs on the offensive line. I just think that. I think it's a lot to overcome. And the other thing too, let me ask you from an emotional standpoint, is Michigan like all in right now?
I think they are. Listen, you have the championship hangover. I understand, but their court, like they always want to run the ball. It's Michigan. You have to put up more than 121 passing yards though against Texas. Like that, whatever happened against Fresno, averaging 5 yards a pass, that's not going to fly. And the run game wasn't working that well either. We'll get more into Michigan, but I just find a touchdown really. We think Texas is going to maybe blow them out at the big house? I don't know if I see that. 855-212-4227. We make AFC picks next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Perloff was a nerd. Ernest was a football star. His name was Herb. Landlord, Marion High. Perloff was a nerd. Ernest was a football star. His name was Herb. But fast forward now, who's the real champ? Perloff's on the mic while Ernest is just a stamp. Oh, Ernest Pendleton thought you were the king, but Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. And speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, can't keep a seat. Well, Artie's got a talent, it's hard to deny. From missing work, like it's pie in the sky. He's the Houdini of the office space, gone without a trace, not a single face. Oh, Ernest Pendleton thought you were the king, but Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. And speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, can't keep a seat. Well, Artie's got a talent, it's hard to deny. From missing work, like it's pie in the sky. He's the Houdini of the office space, gone without a trace, not a single face. Oh, Ernest Pendleton thought you were the king, but Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. And speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, can't keep a seat. Out sick, on leave, it's always a shock. Perloff's here daily, grinding it out, while the money's somewhere on a mystery route. He's got more excuses than days on the clock. Out sick, on leave, it's always a shock. Perloff's here daily, grinding it out, while the money's somewhere on a mystery route. Oh, Ernest Pendleton thought you were the king. Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. And speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, can't keep a seat. So here's the tale, from nerd to no show. Perloff's still shining while Belotti's a ghost. Ernest is history, Belotti's a myth, but Perloff's on top, and that's the twist.
One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
It's time today. Perloff and I go on the record. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So much to do. It's a Wednesday. We will get to the great debate in just about 20 minutes or so, Pearl, because we've got very pressing issues, which is letting the public know, and our loyal fans and listeners, who we are choosing to make the playoffs in the NFL. Now, we already did our NFC predictions, and we're going to do the AFC right now, but let's recap the NFC for everybody who may have missed it. Go ahead and hit us off with who you think is making the postseason this year.
Okay, so NFC, I started with the NFC East. I got those Cowboys. I have the NFC North, the Detroit Lions, NFC South, Falcons, NFC West, 49ers, wild card, Eagles, Packers, Rams.
Okay, I went with the Eagles winning the East, Green Bay winning the NFC North. Give me the Falcons for the South, and I will take the LA Rams winning the NFC West. That means San Francisco would be one of your wild cards. That means Detroit is one of your wild cards, and that means the Seattle Seahawks are also one of your wild cards. So that's the NFC for me. Let's go to the AFC, my friend. This one...
oh, boy.
Was a challenge.
All right.
Challenge on many fronts. Why don't you start with the AFC East?
I'm going to start with the AFC East, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, I'm insane because I'm picking the Jets again.
Yep.
Picked them last year, 7-10 with that defense last year with no quarterback play. If you get even bad Aaron Rodgers play, which is usually about 26 touchdowns and 10 picks, then you're easily flipping that record on its head. I got them around 11 wins and winning the division.
I also have the Jets winning the NFC East. And guys, buy a hat and hold on to it. I have the Jets going 14-3. I went through the win-loss record. This was my process. I did every team, wins, losses, like a Sudoku, made sure it all fit. If the Jets can get past San Francisco, okay, which that line is dropping like a stone, they could win 8 in a row. Here's what it is. At San Francisco, it's going to be tough. If they win that one, then they're at Tennessee, Pearl. New England
at Tennessee,
at home.
by the way.
Denver. Minnesota, that's in London. So you're bringing Sam Darnold to London? Good luck. Then Buffalo, but that's the game in New York City. So, they'll probably split. At Pittsburgh, then at New England. These are winnable games here for the Jets. We could be getting off to this unreal start. So I have the Jets also winning the NFC East. Continue.
Okay. AFC North.
Did I say NFC? AFC North. AFC East. Excuse me.
AFC North.
Yeah.
I never count out the Baltimore Ravens. They are like Terminator 2. They keep getting broken up and reform in a stronger, more powerful version.
Yeah.
But this year, I'm all in on Joe Burrow. I'm following the Maggie and Perloff show commandment that I shall never bet against Joe Burrow. Whatever this wrist injury is, it doesn't seem to be bothering him. He's cutting his hair. He's playing chess in Europe. He's doing all these wild things in the offseason. Yeah. And then it seems like from everything we've heard from camp, like he's still throwing effectively. I understand there's this drama with Jamar Chase, but I really believe in Burrow, and I really believe in Lou Anarumo, their defensive coordinator. So I'm picking them to take their turn atop the AFC North.
Yeah. Is he cutting his own hair? Is that how you know that his wrist is okay?
No, I mean, like, you see pictures of him in training camp. Are you seeing, like, a wobbly football ever?
No, but I'm not seeing him throw multiple days in a row still. I think they're being cautious with it. And by the way, they should be. Like,
but
this is all silly.
He always has injuries and always has a miraculous comeback. Like, remember, last year he was kind of hurt, and then until he got really hurt, he was playing really well once he got healthy.
Yeah, not that the wrist injury is silly. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's just, of course, he shouldn't be overdoing it in training camp. That makes no sense. I still have Baltimore winning this division. I have them with a record of 12-5. Late bye, which I absolutely love for teams who are contenders like this. I have them winning 5 of their last 6. That would be at the Chargers, against your Eagles, Pearl, at the Giants, Pittsburgh. I have them losing at Houston and then winning against the Browns to finish off the season. Baltimore, to me, go ahead, question the defense. Like, people are making this huge deal like Mike McDonald left to go to the Seattle Seahawks, like the Ravens have never had a good defense before this dude showed up. Like, this is the calling card of this franchise. And if Lamar Jackson is healthy, you have a few more weapons. Count me, I guess, as a Derrick Henry believer, and give me the Baltimore Ravens with a 12-5 record winning the AFC North.
Pretty good. All right, AFC South. This is actually a division. I've been high on the Texans.
Yeah.
I think this is a crazy competitive division. I think, and because I'm a little higher on the Titans than a lot of people are, I think that they're all going to kind of come around 10 wins. I think the Texans win that division at 10-7 with the Jags nipping at their heels. I think that's going to be a really close, really competitive division. And I think the Titans are sneaky and the Colts are always mediocre and good. They're always around 500. So I don't think the Texans are going to do on this magical roll like 14 wins. But I do think that they, at the end of the day, come away with this division. I think their defense is the side that should be talked about more. It's been their offense and C.J. Stroud, but they have so many studs on defense. I think they come away with the division a little tougher than some might think.
Yeah, not for me. I have the Texans winning this comfortably, actually. I have them at 12-5. I have them starting the season 6-0. They're at Indy, then Chicago, at Minnesota, Jacksonville, Buffalo. I have them winning in Houston, and then at New England. There are wins here, and I like Houston winning the Stefon Diggs Bowl, or whatever you're going to call that. I don't have their first loss until they go to Green Bay. And the thing is about the AFC South, I couldn't really get there. This is what I think is going to happen with the Colts. I have them at 6-11, which I know is pretty low, but I have them winning their last 5 games, and I feel like they're going to be the team at the end where it's like, all right, we're seeing it. If Anthony Richardson is healthy, maybe setting up for next year, not this season, but next season being the big Indy year. I have Jacksonville coming into 8-9, and I am not big on Tennessee. I have them at 5-12. I have a big step back because I'm not a Levis believer. So I have the Houston Texans winning comfortably the AFC South at 12-5. All right, who's your AFC West?
AFC West, man, this is tough. Who's going to win the AFC West?
Challenge every year.
Obviously the Chiefs. I don't even see a close challenger once again. I'm very curious. What I want to watch for the Chiefs, do they get this explosive passing game they've been talking about this offseason back? Will it be Xavier Worthy? Will it be somebody else? It sounds like Hollywood Brown's a little beat up. Again, it's like, what's the Marvel term, EJ? Thanos is inevitable. The Chiefs and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are inevitable. I didn't spend more than 2 seconds thinking about this.
Me neither. I did the win-losses. I have Kansas City going 13-4. Robust win total for them. I'm not very high on Vegas. And I see and I'm not very high on Denver. So I think obviously the division is going to be helping them. I do, though, see them getting off to a really great start, winning their first 5 in a row before their bye week. Although I do have them losing 2 of their last 5, and that's going to set up the people like, oh, maybe the Chiefs, maybe this year. And then they get to the playoffs, and what always happens? Don't bet against Mahomes. You'd be stupid to do that. So Kansas City, to me, this is easy. The rest of the division is not quite ready, although I do have another team in this division making the playoffs. If you want to go to the wild cards.
Okay, wild card. I got the Bills. I feel like the Bills and Jets are going to have right around the same record. I understand Stefon Diggs is gone, but they clearly found the formula last year. Run the ball, take some pressure off Josh Allen, throw a million short passes to Dalton Kincaid. I'm down with it. I don't care about Diggs leaving at all. Like, I'm not downgrading them for even a second for that one. I have the Ravens. You already broke down the Ravens pretty good. Like, say what you want about that defense. Write that obituary, and you're making a mistake. All right, here's the hardest choice of my football predicting life.
Okay.
No, that's not true. But it was hard. There's a lot of really good teams in the AFC. I put down the Cleveland Browns because our buddy Quincy Avery said Deshaun Watson looks good. I think Deshaun Watson's the kind of quarterback who will avoid mistakes, and he's going to be desperate this year. So he's going to run. We saw him do it last year. He's going to be mobile, and he's going to do anything he can to win football games. It will probably get him injured, but I feel like you're going to see Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson. There were so many games where it was fourth quarter, and Deshaun put the game on his back. All he has to do is not turn the ball over, and that defense will win you games alone. So I think the Browns have a formula to return to as a wild card once again.
So say your wild cards again.
So Bills, Ravens, Browns.
Bills, Ravens, and Browns as your wild cards. Okay, for me, my wild cards are Cincinnati, who I have with an 11-6 record. I have Buffalo getting in at 10-7. And I have the Chargers getting in at 11-6. So I have the Bills and the Browns with twin 10-7 records, and I gave it to the Bills because whatever. I don't want to root against my own team not making the playoffs. I do like the Browns quite a bit, but Deshaun's health, I can't get there. I have the Chargers with the 11-6 record. I told you yesterday, I think that Jim Harbaugh is winning coach of the year. This is not a tough schedule for the Chargers. Outside of your division, have played Kansas City, who I have them splitting with. There are wins with Vegas. There are wins with Denver. You have Tennessee. I have them winning at Atlanta. I have them beating Tampa. I have them winning at New England. I have them winning at Carolina. I have them starting off 5-1. They have an early bye. I'm just a believer in Harbaugh gets there and immediately you see dividends. So, again, for me, I have the Jets winning the AFC East, Baltimore with the North, Houston with the South, the Chiefs with the West. Then I have Cincinnati at 11-6 getting in the wild card, the Chargers at 11-6 getting in the wild card, and Buffalo at 10-7.
Yeah, who's your near miss?
Cleveland. Cleveland I also have at 10-7. I have Pittsburgh finishing 8-9. I was trying to get there with Pittsburgh. I really wanted to. I thought, this could happen. But I have them finishing under 500 for Mike Tomlin. And I have Miami at 9-8.
So
missing the playoffs as well.
2021 Chargers were 9-8. Then the next year they were 10-7, lost a wild card. And then they were 5-12 last year.
Yeah, they bottomed out because Herbert got hurt.
It feels like that is a team. I know it's Harbaugh and it's different, but I agree with you. Like, they love to flirt around that 10-11 win mark because they're out in the AFC West, easy schedule. My only concern is totally random. What if Sean Payton figures some things out? And what if Denver is a bit of a disruptor? I just loved what I saw out of Bo Nix in the preseason. I'm doing that thing again. I just think that they could they could change the perception. They could be an 8 or 9 win team. They were an 8-win team with the ghost of Russell Wilson last year.
No, I get
so I just would think that maybe we're discounting Peyton a little bit there. They could knock off some of the wins out of the AFC West. I'd be very fond if Bo Nix was as good as people might think he is.
Yeah, I love it. I think what's going to happen with Denver is you're going to see like the Sean Payton, Bo Nix stuff, but it's just not going to translate to a lot of wins. Like I think that they're going to maybe be in close games, but I don't see them. I don't see it. Bottom line.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I have them going 4-13.
Yeah, I mean, if they won 8 games last year, I mean.
Okay, but here.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be better than whatever was going on last year.
You're telling me that Denver is winning at Seattle, at Tampa. They're winning at the New York Jets. You're telling me they're winning at Baltimore, at Kansas City. You know, they're winning at the Chargers. They're winning at Cincinnati. They're not. This is the thing about, or I don't think they are.
Why can't they win at the Chargers? Like, for example, I mean,
I think the Chargers are going 11-6. I think the Chargers are going to be good.
Well, let's basically
these road games are hard.
Yeah, but the Chargers, that's a home game for the Broncos.
Well, not about the crowd noise, Pearl. It's about the team.
I just think that, yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're going game by game here, but I just think that the Broncos are a bit of a. If you're going to look for an upset team, they have some of the ingredients because there's some talent there. They built up that team for Aaron Rodgers. He didn't go there. I mean, there are a lot of guys. A lot of people like Courtland Sutton. A lot of people like the kid they got last year, Marvin Mims. What if that offense is good? Because that defense has been sneaky. Like after that 70-20 loss, all of a sudden they fixed everything. They were good by the end of the year. I'm not talking playoffs, but I'm talking like messing up the Chargers and maybe even the Chiefs a little bit, getting a win, stealing a win here and there.
855-212-4227. So there you go. AFC reset. Who do you have, Pearl?
Okay. My AFC picks are AFC East Jets, AFC North Bengals, AFC South Texans, AFC West Chiefs. Wild cards are Bills, Ravens, and Browns.
Okay, let's go to the phones. You guys want to talk about some college football. Steve finds himself in Oregon this morning with a burning question for us. What's up, Steve?
Hey, so the Ducks barely beat Idaho last week, and we have Boise State coming in this week, and we have never beaten Boise State. So I think this is a pretty, big trap game for us. We had a home and home scheduled with them, but we paid them to get out of the game next year. And I think Boise State's going to beat us this weekend, unfortunately.
Wow.
Steve, that's a bold call.
I mean, I get it, though. You got Janty, the running back from Boise State. What do you have, 6 touchdowns in the opening game?
Yeah, 267.
Wait, hold on, Steve. Can I give you, let's not do a sky is falling here. I like Boise. They're my group of 5 pick to make the college football playoff. But don't you think maybe Oregon was holding a little bit back against Idaho? We didn't see the whole thing. We saw Dylan Gabriel throwing the ball a lot. They couldn't get in and score, though, when they got into the red zone. Maybe they were holding a little bit back, Pearl.
Could be. I'm going to throw water on one take there. He said that they've never beaten them. They played in 08, 09, and 17. That's it. Does that mean anything for now? It's not like, I don't know. First of all, those were elite Boise State teams. I'm not sure that that's a reason to be scared. Does that do anything for you, the history there? We've never beaten them. They're 0-3, and they haven't played in 8 years.
No, EJ, you seem like you want to get in on this.
Yeah.
What's up?
It would for me as a fan. It's just, I don't know why. It's kind of like, these random games like Miami. I know they do play North Carolina almost every year, but there are times where they don't. It just feels like they can never beat North Carolina. There's a mental aspect that once the game gets close, once things get interesting, here we go. Same thing over and over again. That's enough times, I think, in a 15-year period to feel like something with this program we can't beat. Sometimes it's just teams that you can't get over.
They're a 19.5-point favorite. This would be a huge upset. Listen, I'm high on Boise. Yeah. I think that Oregon, they've got to be feeling like it was a win last weekend that felt like a loss because you're 17-14 and hopefully you learn the lessons and can fix some things without actually having to go through the loss, right? But that was a wake-up call if there was one against Idaho.
Absolutely. What was the spread on that one? 45 or something?
Something crazy.
48.5.
What was it?
48.5.
Yep.
48.5 is what it closed. Okay. We have to take this one more call, Maggie. We have to. We have to take it, and we have to take it right now.
All right. Well, Josh is in Philadelphia, wants to talk with Perloff about the Phillies. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Mrs. Gray. Good morning, Mr. Perloff.
How you doing?
I know how he's doing. He's doing great.
Well,
Tell her why.
Before I ask my question, last week I heard on your guys' radio show that everyone besides you has hate for all the Phillies teams.
Yeah.
Which I think is really sad. Because I think the Phillies are the number one team to get behind.
They are lovable.
They are. They're very lovable.
Debatable.
But, hey, it's your opinion. But my question is, since the Phillies have been doing pretty good this year, do you think we're going to see a rematch in the World Series of 2009 with the Yankees and the Phillies? And who do you think would win it?
Oh, man. No, I don't. And I'll be totally honest with you, Josh. Last night it's exhilarating. When Kyle Schwarber hits a home run, I don't know what it is. It's the greatest thing in sports right now.
I'm sorry. I thought you said Bryce Harper hitting a home run is the greatest thing in sports. No, you can only have one greatest thing. We're not giving you Schwarber
Bryce Harper
and
is the greatest, but last night, the third homer he hit, I mean, that thing is still flying, Meg. That guy, he's like the ultimate softball player. That's why you have to love that guy. Schwarber, you can say what you want about the Phillies, but if you don't like Kyle Schwarber, then you're not a sports fan because that guy is awesome. Now, here's my problem, Josh. The best teams never make it to the World Series. And I think the same thing for the Yankees. Yes, logically, the Yankees should make it. It just doesn't feel like I can't have confidence the way the playoffs have unrolled the last few years. That even like every logical point to the Phillies were going to beat the Diamondbacks last year and go to the World Series. But baseball playoffs are so chaotic and so pitching dependent right now that I'm not confident. Yeah. Josh, are you confident?
Well,
no, because I've been a Phillies fan my whole life, and it just seems you're right about that. It seems the teams that do the best during the regular season, when it comes to the playoffs, a lot of teams just seem to bow out for some reason.
Yeah, Josh, I mean, I'd love a Phillies-Yankees. That'd be fun. Rematch. Appreciate the phone call. I don't think it's a given that the Yankees are getting there, by the way.
No, definitely not. I mean, but honestly, the Yankees could have 108 wins, and it would still feel like, I mean, lately they've been a bit of a postseason joker. So,
well, I mean, the Astros took them the distance in a couple of ALCSs, and you're right about that. Listen, I feel like, is everyone kind of sleeping on the Brewers here? It's been a good team that's just been, no, you don't like them, right?
They just don't, I don't see any star talent.
So what? What did you see with the Diamondbacks last year?
They had Christian Walker. Ketel Marte's been a star. You had rising stars in Zach Gallen. When you look at the Brewers, Willie Adames is okay. He's good. And then you have Jackson Chourio, solid. Christian Yelich is hurt. Their starting rotation is nothing special besides for, maybe Freddie Peralta.
They still find ways to win, though. So who are you thinking about for the National League? Are you going Dodgers here? Or are you going
Someone
Phillies?
From the NL West.
Okay.
And do you have any history of predicting this kind of thing, right?
No.
Are you the first baseball analyst ever?
And Ryan's on a streak.
Well, nobody saw the Diamondbacks coming.
No, that might have just been a one-off. I think we get back to the star teams maybe this postseason.
You know who Milwaukee does have, Perloff? Rhys Hoskins.
Love.
Who you can see a little Game 6 of the NLCS walk-off bomb, Rhys Hoskins.
Just a little sticking it to his old team.
Well, I mean, listen, everyone knows I have a couple teams here.
No, we're not doing that.
I mean,
you're not doing that. We're
I'm
not doing that
lifelong
this year.
Shohei Ohtani fan.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
No. 855-212-4227. We're taking a stand as a show. We are not allowing Perloff to have multiple National League teams that he's rooting for in a baseball playoff when your team's the Phillies.
Well, if the Phillies play the Dodgers, then I'm obviously rooting for the Phillies. But I think it's fun to root for the Dodgers, too. Why not? Why are you taking the Dodgers away?
That makes me
root for the
sick.
Dodgers?
That makes me sick.
They have the most likable players on planet Earth. They have all of them. They're all right there.
Perloff, and
They
those
have
likable
Mookie and
players,
Shohei.
those likable players want to kick in the faces of your likable players. You have to pick a side here.
Well, I'm definitely picking the Phillies, but I don't think there's like a natural right. It's not the Braves. It's not the Mets. I hate those teams. The Dodgers are all the way across the country.
I'm not even convinced that you do hate those teams.
I hate the Braves. I really do. I really
No, you'd be like, well, I don't know. I kind of think they have some cool players.
I don't really care as much about the Mets. I hate the Braves. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat. Like the Braves just irk people.
Because they're so good.
Yeah, but they're so good. Dodgers are not that good. They'll win 110 games and flame out early. You could get behind them. Wait, you don't like the Dodgers? Like,
No, because I root for a National League team and I'm not a psycho. I picked a side long ago. Maybe
they
I
have
picked
Mookie
wrong.
Betts and Shohei Ohtani. How can you not root for the team?
I can respect those good players, but there's no way I'm rooting for them. I can't. Some of my greatest memories is the Mets being the Dodgers. 855-212-4227.
Gotta love Mookie, though.
Well, Well, I can respect Mookie, but I'm not rooting for him. That's a Dodgers fan. That's their responsibility. Okay, lots more to do, including it's Great Debate Wednesdays around here. We tap into the NFL for our latest. We'll serve it to you next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Bright lights, EJ stood ready, aiming for new heights. But fate took a turn on that somber play, left us all speechless, nothing to say. Chase me, oh, it has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush. Dreams on hold, the cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Once danced on the field, now a quiet rest. Each stride a memory, we thought you the best. The journey's paused, the spirit feels heavy. Oh, how we miss you, strong and steady. Chase me, oh, it has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush. Dreams on hold, the cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Can the stars align once more for you? Healing whispers in the morning dew. We stand by you in highs and lows, waiting for the day you rise and glow. And chase me, all it has left us in the silence, the crowd's hush. Dreams on hold, the cheers now freeze. Hope fades out with a gentle breeze. Can the stars align once more for you? Healing whispers in the morning dew. We stand by you in highs and lows, waiting for the day you rise and glow. AJ's me, a story untold in every heart. Your courage holds through the pain, through the strife. We'll wait for the day you spring back to life. In the heart of the game, under the bright lights, EJ stood ready, aiming for new heights. But fate took a turn on that somber play.
Oh, drunk old Sam's on YouTube, tuning in for some laughs, with a beer in his hand and his feet on the grass. He cheers for the Bogush and Perloff, with a toast to the day. 4th of July is the best, you'll hear him say. Raise your glass, light the sky, it's the 4th once more. Drunk old Sam's got stories that you can't ignore. From Maggie to Perloff, celebrate freedom with a drink in his hand. Uncle of the year with a patriotic twist, watching sports and sipping brews, none he's missed. He jokes and he laughs, spills some too, it's alright, 'cause Drunkle Sam's in charge of the fun tonight. Raise your glass, light the sky, it's the 4th once more. Drunkle Sam's got stories that you can't ignore. From Maggie to Perloff, he's got quite the plan to celebrate freedom with a drink in his hand.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. It is Wednesday. That means great debate. Oh, my gosh, we have such a fun one today. This is right up all our alleys. Maggie, you want to share the topic?
Yeah, so the NFL season kicks off tomorrow, so obviously wanted to do something NFL themed. So today's great debate, who is the greatest athlete to ever play in the NFL? Greatest pure athlete.
So easy. Okay, I'm going last
so
because I win
easy.
this one. So easy.
All right.
In fact, this is, to me, it's not a great debate because there's only one choice. But I want to hear. We have 5 of us here. Sorry, 6 of us, and you're not allowed. Once a name is picked, you cannot take that name. So to me, I am seeing it a stretch beyond number 1 here. Well, actually, let me go first.
Yeah, go first.
It's
then.
obviously Bo Jackson. I mean, who's a better athlete than Bo Jackson in the history of the NFL? Not only is he the coolest football player in his 4 years as a pro with the Raiders, he was the coolest baseball player. The dude broke a bat over his knee, could do everything. I know it was short-lived, but we're not talking about longevity here. We're talking about the peak. There is just nobody who's even, there's one guy who's close, but there's really no other Bo Jackson. Honestly, he could have been the greatest running back of all time. Easily could have been. If you watched him play, it was stunning how powerful and fast he was. And he's like, unlike a lot of the other two-sport guys, he's like a legit all-star in baseball. To me, I love a lot of the two-sport athletes. I'm a big fan of when guys can do that. No one did it like Bo.
Can't wait till he leaves. 3rd and 1 from the 2. Here's Bo. And here goes Bo for the touchdown. He and Bosworth one-on-one, and Jackson just jumps him into the end zone.
That was an amazing play.
Oh,
when he runs over the Boz. Okay, we're doing the greatest athlete to ever play in the NFL. To me, the answer is without a doubt Lamar Jackson. Guys, we're watching it right now. We're living it. What more do you need from a guy who's won the Heisman, 2 MVPs, so athletic, didn't even think that he would be a quarterback, and instead, or at least according to Bill Polian, and then instead of doing that, he actually becomes one of the greatest quarterbacks in the entire league, and he's top 2 or 3. According to the players themselves, he's top 1, and I think that the players voting him the best quarterback in the league, and the fact that the players hold him in such high regard, that's the proof right there. The players know. Like the game recognized game type thing. There's one thing we can do in the media and as fans. The players understand the athleticism. Lamar Jackson's amazing.
It's a 2nd down and 3. Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles. Now he's got an entourage. And he's got a touchdown. He is Houdini. What a play. 47-yard touchdown run by the magical quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
That's a perfect way to put it, Kevin Harlan. He's magical, the elusiveness, the dual threat. And Lamar Jackson, we're watching it. We're watching the greatest athlete to play in the NFL ever.
I don't understand. I can't compute this. Yes, he's the greatest dual threat quarterback of all time, but what's his second sport?
Right. It could be something if he wanted it.
If he was a varsity bowler in high school, then I could go with you.
If he didn't make $200 million in his last contract, maybe he would go play another.
Yeah. Is he good at ping pong? Give me something else here. Give me something, Maggie. No, he's a good choice.
All right, Pat Boyle, who is the greatest athlete to ever play in the NFL? It's our great debate today.
Not even a debate for me. It's prime time. DeionSanders. I mean, who else outside of Bo Jackson and maybe 1 or 2 other players in history played 2 sports at an incredible level? Not only at an incredible level, Hall of Fame football player, one of the best defensive backs ever, but also, was pretty damn good in Major League Baseball. The only player, or the first person to play in both a Super Bowl and a World Series, and he's the only person to ever hit a home run and score a touchdown in the same week. Imagine that. Oh, what'd you do a couple days ago? Yeah, I scored a touchdown. Oh, what'd you do today? Yeah, I'm going deep for the Yankees. DeionSanders, and one of the greatest athletes, just faster than everybody else on the field. It was never even a question who the best athlete was anytime he stepped on the field. It was Deion.
George has time, and his pass is intercepted. They're not catching him down the sideline. Deion Sanders is dancing. He's looking backwards from about the 40-yard line. Oh, is he going to do a number on the crowd here? And that's the second return for a touchdown.
Yeah, and the fact that he scored, almost 20 career touchdowns, returning punts and kicks as well. It's Deion.
We're doing the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. That's our great debate today. Ryan Botcher, go ahead.
Another defender here, but more recent. He recently retired from the Rams. You got to go with Aaron Donald. He's a freak of nature. The amount of triple teams that man got, he basically single-handedly won a Super Bowl for the Rams on his defensive play. And to say that he's not a freak athlete compared to everybody else is just absurd to see.
I'm trying to beat this guy on the edge, get to him as fast as I can. And like everything I seen in my head, everything I played out, it happened.
Rams rush forward. Burrow to throw for it. He's hit. He blinks it away on fourth down. Aaron Donald got there.
Yeah! Yeah! I knew it! He was making a play.
And you can build that man's statue out SoFi Stadium right now. Rings for the Rams.
His impact was just insane for anybody else, and then his speed combined with power and flexibility is unheard of.
I would have liked to see him play baseball, too, to be a two-sport. Can you imagine him breaking up a double play? Like you're the shortstop and Aaron Donald coming down at you? That would have been neat. But, again, give me a second sport, Ryan.
We said best NFL athlete.
Yeah. He just beat Shady McCoy, too, in a race in an alley in L.A. somewhere, which was kind of funny.
I was just Googling what was Aaron Donald's second sport growing up. I can't find anything, but that would have been fun to see. What if it was like modern dance or something? I don't know. He is an amazing athlete, but I think that body shape, I don't know what else you could do.
Our great debate today, greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. EJ, who do you have?
All right, so Maggie, I think you went with the remix. I'm going with the original. Michael Vick is the greatest athlete to ever play in the NFL, and it was because of plays like this.
Vick on 2nd and 8, off the play fake, has some running room, inside the 30, inside the 20, Vick into the end zone, Falcons win in overtime, a 46-yard touchdown run. His second touchdown run of the game, scored from 28 earlier, and he finishes with 173 yards rushing.
Okay, so just to paint the picture for you guys in that play, he literally ran between two defenders who crashed into each other like, Wile E. Coyote and, like something from Looney Tunes. I mean, he made these kind of plays routine week to week playing for the Atlanta Falcons. He could also then step back and throw the ball 70 yards down the field like he did against Washington on Monday Night Football. Michael Vick was something I had never seen before. And when we talk about best or greatest athlete, I'm sorry, I don't really care so much about the two-sport thing. I'm talking about speed, athleticism, flexibility. I like the fact you can hit a baseball. To me, okay, that's fine. Guess what? David Ortiz can hit a baseball. He's not the most athletic guy. John Kruk played baseball. He's not the most athletic guy. That doesn't tell me you're a better athlete. It tells me you have great skill. You have great hand-eye coordination, which is fine. But we're talking about athlete on the field. The things Michael Vick could do, no one could ever do, and they still can't do to this day. I love Lamar Jackson, but he don't throw the ball like Michael Vick in terms of power and distance.
If he had some better receivers, he would.
Oh.
Okay. Well, give me Michael Vick for the greatest athlete to ever play in the NFL.
All right, you put 40 pounds on Big Papi and line him up at left tackle. Come on, EJ. I like where your head's at over there.
Okay, Andrew Bogish, finish the circle. The greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL is who?
I usually have to complain that all the good choices are taken before it gets to me, but I had the 4th pick in this draft last night, and I could not believe this guy was there for the taking.
This is the day Jim Brown sets a new league record for yards gained rushing. And here Jim makes his most spectacular run of the year. He breaks out of the grasp of Dick Doherty.
Wow.
And then the Hindenburg exploded.
Excitement.
Bob Cousy dribbles through the defense. Oh, that's such a great soundbite right
That's
there.
awesome.
It gives you right back to a place and time in America.
And right off the heels of EJ saying playing in 2 sports he doesn't care about, I give you a guy who many consider the best NFL player of all time, and then a guy who might have been the best lacrosse player of all time. You can dismiss having 2 different skill sets, but being the best, arguably, in 2 different disciplines means athlete to me. So Jim Brown, with the only competition is being Bo Jackson in this little 5-some of ours.
Yeah, Jim Brown's lacrossing is such legend and lore in sports. Can you imagine?
That was basically just playing football with
I
a
know.
lacrosse stick.
Can
He would
you
just hold the
imagine
stick right by his chest and just barrel through people.
I would love to see Jim Brown, and lacrosse becomes such a preppy sport to see Jim Brown run through Billy from Del Barton Prep or whatever.
You mean Declan or Connor, not Billy.
Yeah, whatever those
Lakin, Donald,
those prep school kids
Hayden,
on the
Peyton,
lacrosse
Jaden, and Layden. Yeah.
Here comes Jim Brown.
Decleating dudes. Have fun at Brown University.
Jim Brown's not bad.
No. Okay, there you go. Those are the nominees. The great debate today. The greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. We're seeing some Jim Thorpe I'm seeing in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, when you do listen, this is a matter of definition of athlete. When you do an greatest athlete debate, you immediately go to 2 sports. You guys, and also, too, if we do a poll of this, I think Vick and Lamar Jackson are cancel each other out. I think it's a 2-person race. Me and Pat Boyle, Deion versus Bo, with Jim Brown being third.
We should put that up right now at Maggie and Pearl. EJ's on it. Thank you. That's on Twitter. Drunkle Sam in the chat saying Reggie White.
Yeah, I mean, Lawrence Taylor. Of course, those guys they're great football players, but were they Division I recruits like Robert Griffin III was in basketball?
I mean, Ryan had Aaron Donald, big guy, low center of gravity, could do things that we hadn't really seen at the position.
Yeah, where was he drafted in baseball? Like John Elway. John Elway, by the way, could have.
John Elway could have been on there.
He could have been on this list. He was a fantastic athlete.
Seeing some Randall Cunningham as well. Keep them coming. 855-212-4227. The greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL as kickoff is tomorrow. Let's pause on the update, Bogish. Gather the headlines all together. We will take your phone calls on this if you would like. Again, at 855-212-4227. It will get you all the latest of what happened yesterday and this morning next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Wednesdays around here, we do something called The Great Debate. Today, who is the greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL? Give you our picks, and you can tell us yours. I went with Lamar Jackson. Guys, we're witnessing it right now. Perloff went with BoJackson. EJ says Michael Vick. Bogish says Jim Brown. Pat Boyle's in today, says DeionSanders. And Ryan Botcher's in today, and he said Aaron Donald. So there's plenty more out there for you at 855-212-4227, the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. While we marinate on that, we head to Andrew Bogish, who's got some headlines for us.
And guys, we can only assume that our former board op, whose name now escapes me, Paul, Pete. We could assume Pete would be angry about this.
Welcome to Applebee's. Can I interest you in America's favorite boneless wings for just 50 cents each?
I have the 50-cent bone.
Cover your mouth. They could steal your order.
I'll have the 50-cent boneless wings.
I'll have the same.
Perfect. They'll never see it coming.
That is Lions head coach Dan Campbell, long before he learns how to correctly approach fourth downs and or use timeout, starring in a new Applebee's commercial. Commercial's a good idea, but again, priorities in order here, Dan. Get your know-what together before you start making commercials.
Yeah, you should be watching film right now.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I thought they were going to make a couple fourth down jokes in here, but maybe still a little too soon.
That's the
Lions.
extended cut of the
Dan
commercial.
Campbell doesn't care.
The Mannings have like this new musical that they put out yesterday. It's like 10 minutes long. This is the Dan Campbell 10-minute long Applebee's commercial.
There's always make fun of Dan Campbell for that, because he's about to do it about 9 more times this season.
He's going to do it more.
Yeah, I would say last year's nothing compared to what he's got on tap.
And this is why I'm not picking them to go to the Super Bowl. Spoiler. Listen, I don't mind the. I like the attitude. Like I like it makes sense to me. But at some point, also like win the game.
We'll see. I don't know. Analytics might disagree with you.
Yeah, but it hurt him in the Cowboys game, and it hurt him in the 49ers game. Like, the analytics,
this team hurt him. Oh, did they choked.
What happened in the Cowboys game? The Cowboys were trying to give that to him. And
he handed them a win.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there were so many plays. I mean, I don't even get me started on what happened to the Lions in that playoff game.
It's crazy. We talk about scar tissue with the 49ers and how do you get back and how do you get back. I mean, we don't talk about it at all with the Lions.
That's because they're all 23 years old. They don't even know what scar tissue is.
They had 3-score lead in the NFC Championship game and blew it.
Yeah, I mean, I think youth will help there.
And remember, Dan Campbell told his team, this might be the last time we get here. Like, he said that to them.
That was a weird post-game speech.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So, I mean, he knows how much scar tissue may still be there because of this.
Bogues, what else we have?
Let's get to baseball because the Yankees got a problem.
The payoff pitch, swung on and a deep drive to left. That ball is way, way back. That ball is history. A walk-off slam for Wyatt Langford. How about that?
Eric Nadell on Rangers Radio Texas, a 7-4 win courtesy of that Wyatt Langford game-ending grand slam. The Yanks now trail the Orioles by a half game in the AL East, but more importantly, closer Clay Holmes has now blown an MLB-leading 11 saves. Angels reliever Ben Joyce threw a 105.5 mile-an-hour fastball in last night's 6-2 loss in 10 to the Dodgers. That is the fastest pitch recorded this season, but using the Perloff conversion coefficient, it's truly only an 89 mile-an-hour Nolan Ryan fastball.
Yeah.
Was it a strike?
It was a strike, yes.
What's this guy's name? Ben Joyce?
Ben Joyce.
You're telling me he throws the ball 5 miles an hour faster than Nolan Ryan ever threw it. Get out of here. The clock's changed.
I think Nolan Ryan threw harder than we knew. No, because we were not judging it correctly in the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Right, so you agree with me that the clocks have changed.
Well, but I don't understand. You seem to be like dismissing these numbers. I think Ben Joyce threw 105 last night. I think Nolan Ryan might have thrown 102, not the 98 that we assumed.
Well, I'm talking about the comparison. I'm just saying, like, they're not that much faster than they used to be these days. I think back in the day, some of the guys like Nolan Ryan did throw. It's the same argument, Bogus. I can't believe you're basically agreeing with me. I'm saying the clock has changed. I'm not saying which is right or which is wrong.
Yeah, but I thought your point also included that they're fudging the numbers. They're not throwing this hard.
Well, it doesn't really make a difference, does it? The point is, I don't know. If Nolan Ryan was throwing 105, then that's what they're throwing now. That's my point. Maybe you're right. Maybe Nolan Ryan was throwing faster. But what's the difference if it's one? Basically, the record, they're topping every record from the 80s. Like Nolan Ryan threw 100, like is his fastest fastball. If that was really 105, it's the same thing. I'm saying the clocks have changed now. Like
you guys
they're
are
not using
both
the old
alleging
clocks.
that the clocks are off.
No, I'm saying that technology could be better where we now more accurately measure how guys are throwing. That's not a good or a bad point.
Right.
Your point seems to be negative about today's pitchers.
No, Perloff doesn't believe that it's actually 105, whereas Perloff, where Bogus, you're saying you think Nolan Ryan wasn't getting credit.
Correct.
For maybe throwing 102.
Yes. I don't think there's I don't think there's a bump up. They're not marking up the pitches now. I think they're correctly measuring them. And in 1950, when they were using slide rulers and they couldn't possibly know how fast guys were throwing.
Okay, I can buy that. I'm totally down with that. That would actually put everything into perfect world order for me. Meaning Nolan Ryan could throw out there with these guys. Like Nolan Ryan was not getting outthrown by Aroldis Chapman.
Right, and also no one is saying that Ben Joyce is better than Nolan Ryan because he threw a 105.5 last night.
Actually, I'm totally fine. If that's the case, you're right. I generally thought, they're making it a little easier now, but maybe it was just harder back then. Same difference, though. My argument still wins.
Then that's, I guess, is what matters? Is
Totally.
you win? Okay. This show should be called You Win.
I think it's funny.
Perloff wins.
Or is it called You Lose?
I just think it's funny because
I just felt like I lost watching it and hearing you guys having to dissect that clock situation.
Actually, you solved a lot of problems for me. Now I'm gonna tell somebody later today. Hey, I was talking to Bogus and he explained why.
Yeah, and when that person's pouring lighter fluid on themselves and wanting to light a match, what are you going to say to them then?
Which backup quarterback is going to get this rundown?
Is Andy Dalton still in town?
Oh, really?
Watching the U.S. Open?
Why don't we go back? I was curious who you had winning that Lions-Bucks game in Week 12 go, Maggie? Why don't we go back to your playoff picks?
Right. She'd rather tell you about USC also going up 10 spots in this week's AP Top 25, going from 23 to 13 after beating LSU. Those Tigers dropping 5 spots to 18. Georgia and Ohio State remaining 1-2 this week, now followed by Texas, Alabama, and Notre Dame. Oregon goes from 3 to 7 after only beating FCS Idaho by 10 points over the weekend. And Francis Tiafoe joined Taylor Fritz in a U.S. Open semifinal last night, the first All-American semi in New York since 2005. Tiafoe was leading 2-1, 4 games to 1 when Grigor Dimitrov retired. Tiafoe Fritz will be on Friday. Fritz has won 6 of their 7 pro meetings. The winner will be the first American man to reach the final here since 2006. Guys, back to you.
Bogish, thank you so much. Our great debate question today, who is the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL? We want to hear from you at 855-212-4227. Robbie's in Baton Rouge has one we did not mention yet. Good morning, Robbie.
Good morning. I love the conversation, but I was kind of wondering what y'all thought about Herschel Walker. He was a great football player, a sprinter in college, MMA, and Olympic bobsledder.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good resume for an athlete.
You're right. I forgot about the bobsledding. Probably should have put him right over the top. Herschel Walker was a freak of nature.
Yeah, I said that last night.
Was my call.
EJ, you made fun of my Herschel Walker thing. I told you he was the dude could bobsled.
No, you misinterpreted my text. I wasn't making fun of it. I just thought I thought you were making a joke about the bobsled. That's why I said LOL. My dad always talks about how great an athlete Herschel Walker was because he has friends from Georgia. So I have no beef for Herschel Walker as an athlete. I agree. I'm glad he mentioned the MMA thing because that was crazy. When he was like 50, he just beat up some dude in an octagon. I have no idea if his guy was good, but still impressive.
How about Charles is in Maine? Good morning, Charles.
Good morning. My thunder got stolen again. I was going to say Jim Brown, and he, of course, is the answer. He is not just the greatest player in the history of the league, which includes Tom Brady, but he is also, according to legend, the greatest lacrosse player, as was mentioned. But in addition to that, when he was at Syracuse, he also finished third in the decathlon on the track and field team and scored 15 points a game as a sophomore on their basketball team. So if you want to talk about multi-sports, there's 4 of them.
Charles, thank you for that. It's funny about the multi-sport part of this argument, right? We were talking about the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. Does that mean if you can hit a baseball or you can bobsled, does that make you better for this argument? Or what if you're just the most athletic football player? Like that's why I have Lamar Jackson, someone who you're watching him break ankles and have this dual threat ability and all of that. Does the multi-sport matter here?
Well, you say the multi-sport part of this debate, that's the whole debate. The rest of it is just fluff. Because you can't compare Lawrence Taylor and Lamar Jackson. All you got is this 2-sport thing. Wait till you hear the poll result.
855-212-4227, the greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL. Coming up next, we hear more from you, and also Perloff and I are making our Super Bowl predictions. We are going on the record next, writing it down in blood.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, well, this is just taken off. On Wednesdays, we do the Great Debate. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Today's Great Debate question, who is the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL? And I love in my mind, Perloff, that someone right now, maybe a dad and a son, a dad and a daughter, or mom and a son, something, driving around in your car somewhere, listening to our voice, saying, who is the greatest pure athlete in the NFL? And the parent saying, you had to have seen Bo Jackson. You had to have seen Deion Sanders. You had to have seen Herschel Walker. And the kid or the younger person, I'm watching Lamar Jackson. I saw Michael Vick. You know, Ryan Botcher says Aaron Donald is the guy. Like, it's just so generational on this one. I think this is a fun topic of conversation if you have a youngster in your life who loves football but maybe didn't know that Herschel Walker represented the U.S. on the 92 bobsled team.
Yeah, good try, Maggie. No one's voting for Lamar Jackson. Get
Come
out
on.
of here. If
We're
you're
watching
a sports
history.
It's the name BoJackson. Like, it's just iconic. It's like, I didn't see Jim Brown play, but I know Jim Brown was a crazy good athlete. I think most sports fans, there's two names that rise to the top, BoJackson and DeionSanders. If you know anything about Deion, he's famous because he played baseball. BoJackson is famous because he did two things. And like it or not, I think America has a different definition of athletic. Athletic is not fast, not coordinated, not strong. It's ability to do sports in the same season. Like that shows such a wide range of athleticism. The fact that Herschel Walker can get in a bobsled, we don't know what it takes to get in a bobsled, but that's pretty darn cool.
I get it, playing football and baseball, or Herschel Walker's, fighting MMA, and I get playing multiple sports means you're obviously athletic. But the question is playing football.
Yeah, but for you to put it on generations, we have a call here for Jim Thorpe. Nobody saw Jim Thorpe play, but people know that Jim Thorpe was a famous athlete. You're saying, because, a young kid's like, Dad, I saw Aaron Donald. I'm not going. That's not how this works.
I think that if you just want to talk about the football athleticism part, that is a more than valid. You don't have had to have been a champion ping pong player and also play corner to win this debate.
But how do you define athleticism? I'm just curious.
Like how everyone does. I think it's speed, agility, skill. It's all of that combined.
Strength?
Yeah, strength.
So what makes you have Lamar Jackson?
Yeah,
what makes him more?
He's the perfect embodiment of all that.
Why is he a better athlete than, say, Tyreek Hill?
Because I'm
watching
watching
all
him.
Those things you just said.
Because he's playing a harder position. I'm watching him do it. And at what point, like Lamar Jackson has won every award for athleticism that you can win for someone in his profession. Heisman Trophy, 2 MVPs for a guy that they're saying maybe, Bill Polian's saying maybe he shouldn't even be a quarterback, and then goes out and becomes one of the best quarterbacks we have in a golden era of quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I don't know what other evidence I need.
How is a Heisman Trophy rewarding athleticism? I mean, you're
the greatest college player.
Yeah, I saw Gino Torretta and Jason White and all these non-athletic guys who couldn't run at all, weren't fast or anything, won the Heisman.
Okay,
so I'm saying that's a football award, not an athleticism award. And your other argument that I'm seeing right in front of me, you're seeing Tyreek Hill right in front of you. What difference does that make? I'm just saying you have to be very specific about what makes Lamar Jackson. I'm not even sure that he's the best athlete in the NFL today. I would honestly think they're faster guys, they're stronger guys, they're guys with just as much agility. He just happens to have a cannon arm as well.
If you're going on just fastest, but that's not just athleticism for fastest. Like I've never seen Tyreek Hill have to evade a rush and then throw a ball 50 yards down the field.
Sure he could. No. He's Tyreek Hill.
855-212-4227. Let's go to Mike in California. He said Jim Thorpe. Mike, tell us why you're picking Jim Thorpe as the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL.
So growing up as a kid, my grandfather, who was an American Indian, compared everybody to Jim Thorpe. And if you go back and you look at his career, he played professional baseball for 6 years, professional football for 5 years, became the first president of the NFL, was an Olympic gold medalist, won the decathlon, came back, or decathlon, and came back and won the pentathlon a few days later in 1912. And did all this while doing all those sports during college, and was a professional ballroom dancer and a professional track and field player. So when you look at the totality of what it means to be a All-American athlete, he is by far the greatest athlete we've ever seen. But because of his Indian heritage and because his ribbons got taken away from him because of quote-unquote amateurism for all those times, he never got the full credit he deserved.
Mike, you always make this show better when you call in. Thank you for doing it. The ballroom dancing is where you got me. Now I'm rethinking my entire argument about Lamar Jackson, because that's hard.
Yeah, that's the fun. I mean, he was a complete athlete. He played professional basketball for a while too, and there was rumors that at one point in time he got in trouble with his coaches because they found he was playing amateur hockey.
Of course he was.
He was also, didn't he have an acting career? I know he didn't do stand-up comedy, but he also performed. Am I right?
Yeah, he did stage and dance. He did stage and dance for a while as well. I mean, he was a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
But he just happened to be a Renaissance man who was a phenomenal athlete, plus he was a veteran. But a lot of people never gave him the credit because of his heritage, because he's coming from all-American Indian heritage. And then, like I said, for a while there, they took away his gold medals for, I think it was 20 years, and they finally gave them back to him.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that he was in 70 movies. That can't be right.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, how did he squeeze all this into his life?
Well, it's a big life. Mike, thank you so much for doing it. Good to hear from you, pal. Thank you for getting up early with us. William is in California. We're asking, who is the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL? Good morning, William.
Well, good morning. Nice to talk to you guys again. Bigger show. By the way, I concur with the guy that said Jim Brown. He was my pick, even though I was too young to ever see him play.
Yep, that was Andrew Bogish.
But the guy I'm thinking of, and it bears mentioning, okay, and I don't need to stir emotions here, but he was a Heisman Trophy winner and also part of a 4x100, 100-yard, 110-yard sprint team. He was one of the legs, okay? Played for a team, broke a single-season rushing record in, 12 games, 14 games. Played for a team, Maggie, called the Buffalo Bills, and his name was O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Like I said, from a professional standpoint, it's just a name that bears mentioning. And just one last thing. If you want to flip-flop the sports, it's kind of hard, even though he played baseball. He was supposedly a better football player, a four-sport star at UCLA by the name of Jackie Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Jackie Robinson, for sure. And obviously, Jackie Robinson would have been amazing in any sport. William, thank you for that. And, of course, listen, obviously, OJ is super complicated because of everything that happened. But if you're talking about greatest pure athletes, he is. But I feel like OJ would just be in a group with running backs, right?
Yeah, but also to the way OJ moved was particularly athletic. Like the guy, just like in that 1 year with Buffalo, his body's moving in three different directions at once at full speed. He was a fantastic athlete. Also at USC, you got to remember pre-OJ, like he was very, very special at USC.
He's still in the Bills Ring of Honor. Dwayne's in Louisiana. Dwayne, who is the greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL?
I mean, I haven't heard y'all mention it, but I would say Ed Reed should be considered one of them. He had offers to play AAA baseball. He, believe he has a javelin record at Miami, and he's a four-sport athlete at one point in time. He just decided to concentrate on football. And as humble as he is, he'll never talk about all this stuff, but as a punt returner, he's not talked about with that stuff. But I think he definitely should be considered one of the best two-sport athletes or NFL athletes.
Dwayne is a great one. Thank you for that. Ed Reed is the greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL. Got me thinking a little bit more about defensive guys. I mean, Ed Reed's amazing. The way Troy Polamalu played the position was extremely athletic, jumping over the pile, stuff like that.
Jumping on the pile.
Or, jumping, like his launch ability. It's just that he played the position in a very interesting and unique way. That was clearly athletic.
No, that to me, Troy Polamalu's edge was mental. I know he was, of course, very athletic, but he was the most intense competitor, and he was out there to kill you. I love Troy. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I would say Ed Reed is more athletic.
Yeah.
I think Troy Polamalu was more mentality, but, he was a fantastic athlete.
EJ, you want to talk about this?
When we talk about, we were talking about defensive players being forgotten. I feel like one of the guys I mentioned yesterday when we talked about this was Darrell Green.
Definitely.
Playing for Washington. I mean, we want to talk about speed.
Yep.
This guy was the fastest guy in the NFL at the end of his career. The guy played like 20 years. He was an older player, still outrunning guys. I mean, he played at a time when DeionSanders was playing, and he was still considered the fastest guy in the NFL. Darrell Green just gets forgotten about, not just being a great player, but also a great athlete. He was incredible.
But, I mean, if you're going to do defense, I mean, can you imagine? No one's a better athlete than Lawrence Taylor was because he redefined the sport while partying all night long. Like, I just feel like there's never been, like, he's like Michael Jordan. There's no combination of size and speed still to this day. Maybe Aaron Donald, that was a good one. But there's no size and speed combo like LT, is there?
It's funny that he would also be a champion partier. Andy B's in our chat says Charles Woodson should be honorable mention.
Definitely.
Sort of greatest pure athletes to ever play in the NFL. Andy also says Emmitt Smith.
No way.
I don't think of Emmett as the greatest pure athlete. If I'm thinking of running backs, I maybe would go with Barry Sanders over Emmett. But
yeah, I mean, Emmett was slow. I mean, he had by the way, can we just talk about, if you're going to do athleticism on speed, there's two legendary 40s of all time. The most legendary 40, I was just thinking about this. Deion ran 4.2 in his socks, right? But BoJackson, the urban legend, he ran a 4.1 240. I mean,
yeah, that's crazy.
There's just no human being like BoJackson. I don't know exactly what the poll results are, but Bo has got to be running away with this thing. Unless it's Deion and Bo are clearly, that's the thing. Like BoJackson was just cut short. He was like Shohei Ohtani of football and baseball. He was unbelievable. I think this is a tough debate because there's no measurement of athleticism where you can beat a BoJackson.
Right now, you can go to Maggie and Pearl on X, and you can vote. Disappointed, guys.
What?
I'm disappointed in the early results here. Very early. Super early. I'm not surprised.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean I'm not disappointed. Mom voice. BoJackson is running away with it right now at 69%.
No pun intended.
2% for Lamar Jackson, guys. 2%.
Who's second?
That's your vote, by the way, Maggie, probably.
I didn't vote yet. I will.
Who's second?
For multiple burners. Jim Brown is second with 16%. DeionSanders at 13%. Lamar Jackson at 2%. Ryan, I'm sorry. Your Aaron Donald didn't make the cut because we only had 4 slots.
And EJ did not put his own
And
pick.
EJ didn't put Michael Vick down.
I defer to the host of the show. So I put
what'd be fun?
I put one quarterback.
Team player.
EJ, next week for our great debate, we should do best athlete currently in the NFL because that's a great debate too. I mean, Lamar Jackson certainly has a great case of that. I mean, obviously not all time according to the poll results.
Well, I mean, early. Early results. 855-212-4227. The greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. Maybe we should take a quick break and come back with our Super Bowl picks.
Love it.
Okay, we're going to do that. Perloff and I have given you our NFC and AFC playoff teams. We'll reset that for you, of course. Professional broadcasters that we are. And we will give you the Super Bowl next. Hey, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening, because health is a long game and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
If this is like HR violation.
It is.
Turn your mic on. Okay. Having conversation in the break. Who is the most huggable person on the show? Perloff thinks it's Ryan Botcher. Ryan, you do seem huggable. I mean, you're very positive.
I appreciate that.
Have you been told you're a good hugger?
Not really. I don't think it's a normal thing to say you're a good hugger.
We all kind of voted against
That's
Pat.
totally a thing.
Voted
Pat,
against me.
I think you're probably a good hugger. Bogus said you might catch something.
Yeah, it's more about safety.
Come on, man.
I know how you catch syphilis from a hug.
Have a little decency.
Let's find out.
Hey,
just kidding.
Can't have an STI if you don't get tested for one.
Is not something we endorse on this show.
Exactly my point.
Will be on Pat's tombstone. I'm just kidding, dude. Big Zoo says Delta in the chat. Big Zoo is probably the right answer, the most huggable person.
I'm going to say no.
Well, I think he seems very huggable.
Yeah.
No.
Super nice guy.
Love Big Zoo. Don't want to hug him.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other options here? EJ, yeah, we haven't seen you in a while, EJ.
Well, no, EJ, you'll injure if you hug him. EJ, no hugging for you, right? Like,
honestly, we should have a force field around you just for the next couple months.
Yeah, put me in bubble wrap.
By the way,
Dave Marinick, I bet, is a good hugger.
Oh yeah, he's skinny now though. You don't want to hug a skinny person. EJ, your return's getting close.
I know. This is exciting.
You should get hurt again.
Can I drop the date?
Go ahead.
September 16th, people. I'm back.
Pew, pew, pew.
Still on target? Should we have Schefter break the news? EJ Stewart returning from knee injury September 16th.
Is Dove going to aggregate it like he did our Deshaun Watson conversation yesterday? Most huggable people. Pete, very huggable. Not on the show anymore. Totally hug Pete.
Oh, Pete's a great hug.
I hugged Pete on Friday.
How'd it go?
It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Did you stay in there for a while? Like when Mariano Rivera was coming off the mound? He hugged Jeter for about an hour?
Yeah, it wasn't the length of it, but it was the force of it. He really pulled me in chest to chest.
When's the last time you guys hugged before Friday?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. Maybe the holidays?
What are you looking for in a hug? I feel like we have to kind of set some stipulations here.
I think the
coziness.
No, I think the thing there's also something with like two guys hugging. You want to come out with no awkwardness. Like, hey, we did that. It was good. It went flawlessly.
We didn't almost kiss.
Yeah,
like Larry David.
Should I go in for the handshake or the hug, and then it becomes like a half hug.
Like Larry David, you don't want to have any contact.
The half? No, I think the half hug is the
worst. You guys have to worry about that.
You have to put your butt out so that there's no contact.
Or you just, and then
that
obviously
guy's just bragging.
The famous Tiger meme where he's coming in and he's like, I am such an awkward hugger that I'm going to just make it very clear that we're doing the bro hug handshake thing.
Nothing more awkward than a golfer and their caddy high-fiving after they won.
Yeah.
I'm cringing just waiting for it to go wrong.
I was watching Hard Knocks last night on the Bears. The Bears had cutdown day on Hard Knocks, and it was really interesting to me. Some of the players would come into the GM and the coach and do massive hugs. Then other guys would do firm handshakes. And it was like, it said a lot about where you started. Brett Rippon, quarterback who got released, firm handshake guy.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
All business.
Yeah. Then there'd be some backup safety who he actually hugged the GM. They embraced on the hug for a good 20 seconds. So there's just certain people are huggable and certain people are not. Maggie,
Uncle
you're
Sam,
a good hugger.
Boyle seems like one of those huggers that lingers on the release. Do you linger?
No. No, you give the back slap. The 2 back slap means time to go. After that second back slap, that's it.
Have you guys ever heard of the philosophy that you hug until the other person lets go? I don't ascribe to it, but I've heard it before.
That's like a bad staring contest. You could be in it for really long. Like, you let go. No, you let go. That seems dangerous.
Just saying it's out there. I'm not saying I do.
And,
I'm a fine hugger. I'm okay. I'm more of a handshake person.
Do you have a different hug if you're hugging a woman versus you're hugging a man?
I would think so.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not backslapping a girl if I'm hugging her.
Well, also different hugs at work, socially, it's different.
Can I say, I think you're a good hugger because if you see a member of my family, you immediately give them a nice hug.
I do.
I think you're a warm person, Maggie. And I don't mean that in like kind of a weird Pat Boyle way. I mean, it's definitely
you're not warm from infection.
If my wife comes to the office.
Like
in a Petri dish kind of way.
If my wife comes to the office, you're very open, like, oh, it's so nice to see you. I generally think you're very good at that. Where there are people who are awkward at those kind of interactions, like Larry David stuff. And you are not. I'm medium. I'm medium. I could be a little awkward and like sometimes I'm not sure. Like Super Bowl week, there's a lot of just like business decisions. Am I hugging this guy? Are we shaking hands? I have no idea. We're going to try and thread the needle with a perfectly timed shoulder tap bro hug.
A lot of pressure on you guys. Not as much for women.
It's easier for women?
Yeah. I don't have to dap anyone up.
No, but there is definitely awkward Super Bowl week things where it's like, oh, I've known this guy in the business for 20 years, but I really don't want to hug him.
Mm-hmm.
Like
those are not people I'm hugging.
You just immediately don't hug?
It depends. But it depends. If there's someone I really don't want to hug, I won't hug them. Like, I'll awkwardly stand there.
And make it known that you're not huggable?
I've once hugged other people in the circle and just been like, hey, and give the person the hand.
Wow, you're letting them know.
Yep.
Maggie, you're a really good interviewer. Can I ask, have you ever hugged an interviewee after the first interview?
I don't like it.
But I'm sure you have. I've seen you bond with people that you've talked to, not in an
people have hugged
unprofessional
me,
way.
yeah, and I don't love it. I don't love hugging athletes, stuff like that. I feel weird about it.
Really?
Yep.
I'll lay the ground rules for dudes hugging dudes. If you're really close with them, you full hug. You do the 2 back slaps, and then it's over. And if it's somebody like you're friends with, coworkers, it's the dap, into the side, turn, shoulder tap, extend, finish the dap, maybe give a little pound after the dap, and that's it.
Yeah. You should write a book.
I don't know what you just said. A dictionary would help, too. You got diagrams?
I didn't give you that many. Was there a forearm tap into a shoulder turn?
You could dap and then hug, or the post-hug dap.
Gritty?
And there's a pound, maybe?
Can we all just make a show policy to fist bump after what Pat just said? Because I cannot pull that off.
Very complicated. Not complicated. The great debate today, the greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL. Lots of options for you. Mike's in Syracuse is one we have not mentioned yet. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, I was checking it out, and there's only one guy in the history that has won both a gold medal in the Olympics and a Super Bowl ring, and that was Bullet Bob Hayes.
There you go. Bullet Bob Hayes, once known as fastest man ever. Got me in trouble when I made a comment about that with Noah Lyles. But yeah, Bob Hayes is a great one, Mike.
Big time.
And here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Somebody was bringing up this Shohei Ohtani deal. How come nobody's giving Taysom Hill any love?
There's your answer.
Taysom Hill.
He's an amazing athlete. He is.
Yep,
he's gigantically big and super fast.
And from the very beginning, he was covering kicks as a backup quarterback. So, got to give him a little bit of credit for being the athlete that he is.
He is very versatile, Mike. Thank you so much. Taysom Hill has a lot of different skills, but none of them are the best in the NFL. So that's why he might not make my list, but it's inspired. I like that Bullet Bob Hayes one.
Taysom Hill is listed at 6'2", 222. He ran a 4.44.
Wow.
He's not just like a normal athlete. He's a total freak. That's why he's still around. He can't play quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But he is an incredible athlete for his size and speed combo. By the way, I was thinking about, is Lamar Jackson a better athlete than Patrick Mahomes? Mahomes was drafted in baseball and is pretty crazy athletic.
Okay, so I was thinking about this with Mahomes because I'm like, he's got the dad bod. What are we doing here? But I think it's Mahomes as the arm angles are so unique. But I think that Lamar's like breaking more people's ankles. And
I'm going to go with the baseball draft. Two sport is.
So then Russell Wilson should be one of the greatest athletes. That doesn't square. Danny Cannell. I mean, there's a lot of guys who played both.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if they're close enough and you got drafted in two sports, I just think that it just shows a wide range of athleticism. I mean, listen, I always claim Steph Curry's not super athletic.
Yeah, that would get you in trouble.
Well, yeah, but he's not fast and he can't jump. So that's not a hot take. Anybody here thinks Steph Curry's an awesome vertical NBA player? No. You define athleticism. If you do power and speed, then he's obviously not. But he's a sick golfer. So I wonder if that makes him athletic. Can be good at golf make you good at because there's some Aaron Rodgers is really good at golf. Does that make him a great athlete?
I think a lot of athletes are really good at golf. Two-Tone Tony's asking if he can hug my feet. You'd have to be in a different room because my feet are so big that he wouldn't even be the same zip code. Why? My feet are fine. They're just large. They're not dirty or smelly. They just happen to be gigantic.
Got some dogs.
Some water skis, dude.
Perloff,
very low center of gravity for me. I'm very sturdy with these big feet.
Good in hurricanes. Who is the guy that you were shocked that we had not heard of?
Ronaldo Nehemiah.
That's
Skeets.
Yeah, by the way, if you go Bob Hayes,
Squeaky.
Because Nehemiah
that was close.
I'll give you one thing. Nehemiah wasn't just running. He was jumping over hurdles and running, which is a better...
In pads.
Well, no.
Dressed like a 49er.
He's one of the great
on the cover of SI
in American history. But he didn't get the gold medal because U.S. didn't go to the 1980 Olympics. So therefore, he would be on this list. Unfortunately, he went over the middle in the NFL and got hit so hard that no track star joined the sport for 35 years. He was crazy good. He was like Edwin Moses good. So imagine if Edwin Moses, you don't have no idea who I'm talking about, do you?
I do.
Yeah. He definitely would be on this list. People did put that in social media to me, Nehemiah. So who knows?
Bogush has some headlines for us. Keep them coming, by the way. The greatest pure athlete to play in the NFL. Bogush, what's up?
So the good news for Caitlin Clark is that she and the Fever clinched a playoff spot last night by watching the Chicago Sky lose in Vegas 90-71. The bad news is she keeps taking shrapnel from WNBA legends. Cheryl Swoopes does not appear to be a fan. One example, a February podcast appearance where she incorrectly said Clark was 25 and only breaking the NCAA scoring mark because she was playing a fifth season because of COVID. She was 22 in her fourth year. Now, to be honest, I made that same eligibility mistake early last year. I fixed it myself. I did not get a call from Nancy Lieberman, another women's basketball legend. She says she called Swoopes at that time to let her know about the mistake.
I called her as a friend, and I said, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter.
And according to Lieberman, the call was not taken well.
She got upset with me on the phone, and I was like, Cheryl, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four. Right. She didn't want to talk to me. My life's going to be good or great with or without Cheryl Swoopes in my life. I'd rather have her in it.
So that's the story from Nancy Lieberman. The Swoopes story is that call never, ever happened.
Don't say you called me to talk about that when you didn't. You posted that on Twitter, and then I responded to you. I texted you and said, Nancy, if you have something to say, call me, since we're supposed to be, quote, friends.
The latest development in all of this is that Swoopes was apparently removed from last weekend's Fever Wings broadcast because of the Clark drama, replaced by Lieberman.
This is crazy. They took Cheryl Swoopes off the game. I know that she was not, I don't know if she refused to give Clark credit. She was really just crediting a lot more of the teammates, and she kind of wouldn't say her name.
So that's this is really convoluted because it goes back. It starts in February. It comes to the forward. Then they're like going back in time to relitigate the February thing, and then there's new stuff. The thing that you're referencing is on her podcast, on Cheryl Swoopes' podcast. She talked about the Fever being 5-1, 6-1 since the Olympic break, and mentioned multiple players and not Caitlin Clark.
But that's enough to get her removed from the game? Like, the decision to remove her from the game, EJ, you have more on this?
Yeah, so, I mean, that sound you heard from Cheryl Swoopes, she was on Twitter/X Spaces yesterday, which is bizarre, but in that same space, she claims that there was a prior engagement that did not allow her to do the game.
Okay.
But then also added that also if I would have did the game, nothing I would have said would have worked. So it was kind of weird because she first made it sound like, I couldn't be there, but then also couched it by saying, I also told them there's nothing I can say to make this any better. So I kind of thought her explanation as to why she wasn't calling that Fever game a little suspect to me. Because it doesn't matter whether or not if you have a prior engagement, you got a prior engagement. Why are you mentioning also I told them, hey, like I don't think I can fix the situation?
Yeah, right. Interesting. And also, like, fix what situation? Just call the game, right? Like you're never, if you're not gonna, like, if people think that you're being a hater, the way that you do that is you just call the game straight, right? You call it down the middle. You just say, either give Caitlin the praise or give her the criticism. If it's warranted, just use your expertise.
Yeah.
That's how you do this, right?
Seems like for a professional, that wouldn't be that hard to do.
No, definitely
You
not.
get it. I mean, even if you did have an issue with her, you could sort of fake it for 2 hours.
Also, Swoopes has never said she's had an issue with Caitlin. She said that she's had an issue with the fans of Caitlin kind of coming at her on social media because she was critical.
And she did post what she says are screenshots of her apologizing to Clark back in February for getting her age and that kind of stuff wrong. But I guess you could argue that there's no confirmation that was Caitlin Clark who was responding to her in the text. And Caitlin, I think, has never said anything about it between February and now as well. So it's just crazy to me that this is still a thing.
I thought we were getting past it, to be honest. I thought, Fever are going to be in the playoffs. This has been any metric, however you do this has been a successful season for Caitlin Clark, in my opinion. She's going to be the runaway rookie of the year. Teams making the playoffs. I mean, post-Olympic break, they're 6-1. They're figuring it out. It looks like they have a good team.
Yeah.
And it felt like we were all kind of moving on to the basketball portion of this and not the whatever this lingering stuff is.
But even that Rookie of the Year voting, I know this has angered EJ too. Like, there's a lot of people who are doing a lot of mental gymnastics to try and keep Angel Reese in this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, The Athletic has a story now because they should share the award as if they were Magic and Bird. Because if you fast forward 20 years and you tell the story of the WNBA's explosion, it's going to be about the two of them, which may be true, but that doesn't mean that they are both rookies of the year right now. Caitlin Clark's been better. She just has been better. It's not a debate.
And that's the problem. I feel like.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's me. I just feel like, to me, like in the beginning of the season when Caitlin was struggling, it was a lot of the Caitlin fans, so to speak, that were trying to do mental gymnastics to explain why she was still great, why she's still been better than 12 women that made Team USA. And now we're on the flip side where she's playing great. And now it's people who were saying that she's not great, not wanting to give her proper credit and somehow make Angel Reese still a thing for Rookie of the Year, which is clearly not a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this has gotten out of control. The fact that two legends aren't friends anymore because of Caitlin Clark's rookie season, we got to look in the mirror and say, what are we doing? This is basketball.
Wait, I have a question for you, though, on the going back to the Nancy Lieberman, Cheryl Swoopes. They're not friends anymore because Nancy called Cheryl to say, hey, you got a factual thing wrong about Caitlin Clark, and Cheryl said that never happened or whatever. Just take it to your own life. Would you call a friend and tell them that? Like, you got this wrong? Because I would assume that somebody else might tell her.
Yes. I would assume if one of my friends in the industry said something on TV that was just straight wrong like
I'm not going to call him and be like, hey, by the way, you said that it was a 3-2 count on Judge or that he's hitting,
right.
Hey, Justin Shackle, he actually has 99 RBIs. I don't know if I would do that, but Nancy Lieberman is like a Hall of Famer and a coach and maybe says like, I'm helping her out.
I guess. I mean, the only thing I would do is if I, for some reason, had inside information as to why they were saying something wrong. Like if I could actually give them something they couldn't find out otherwise. But just a mistake, I wouldn't think I'd have to tell somebody that they were wrong.
I don't know how I would receive that if I got that phone call. It's like, wow, thanks. I know I made a mistake, and now I've got a friend calling me to tell me I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Or I don't know
what
if
are you
I
talking
would.
about? We all tell each other when we screw something up all the time gleefully, as a matter of fact.
Well, but we work together every single day. If I hadn't
Yeah.
talked to you in a month, would I call you out of the blue to be like, hey, I was listening to you and I heard you say this and it's wrong?
Oh, right. Got it. That is the situation. Right. Like if we mess up a fact in the break, you might say, oh, you know what? The Packers beat the Vikings in week 16 or whatever last year. And it's really no big deal at all. I see what you're saying out of the blue. But you have to admit that we all know, like, this whole Caitlin Clark thing, everything's elevated. Everything's more sensitive. It's the way it is. So I can actually see this call happening because when you talk about Caitlin Clark, every word you say will be parsed. And Cheryl Swoopes and Nancy Lieberman are learning that. I disagree with one thing you guys said. Like, there's no way we're getting into basketball. This thing, there's so much heat left in the controversy. It's not going away. Wait till the playoffs start. Oh my God, it's going to be all back. Somebody's going to get fired. It's going to be, nothing is going away. And I know this because I have a friend who works at a sports website. He's like, Caitlin Clark Angel Reese stories just do triple the traffic of anything else. People are just really into it. I don't think the heat's died down at all. I think it's simmering. And when the playoffs come, how huge is this going to be? I mean,
wait till the first flagrant foul.
Yeah, right.
Or what do they call it? Intentional foul.
I think we'll all be watching the WNBA playoffs as well, too. So we're going to see those intentional fouls. Sometimes games get lost because they're late at night now.
And the NFL starting, college football. But I think we're going to make room for this and baseball playoffs and everything.
Let's do the friend mistake fixing thing scientifically. Somewhere in early October, I say, EJ, call Pete. And say, Pete, I was listening at 4:30, and I think your drop was wrong, or that was the wrong bed. Just correct him and record so we see what his response is.
That, I mean, I'll probably have a second bad knee because I would have got a crowbar right to the side of the MCL. Next time I walk into work, that is not happening, Bogus. Sorry.
All of a sudden, Pete just booby traps the studio over there. EJ just falls through a trap door. That'd be fun while it lasted.
If you make the call, I'll promise to read whatever text Pete sends to me after the fact, as he still thinks the call was real.
I didn't like correcting Pete when he made mistakes on our show.
He didn't make mistakes, EJ. That was your problem.
Bogus, thank you. Anything else?
The Mets are good.
Yes.
Love to see
They won
that.
last night. Lindor's the NL MVP. That's about. Oh, there is actually breaking news from the NFL.
Oh, what do you
I'll
got?
do my job, not in a sarcastic way. Patrick Surtain, Broncos, 4-year extension, $77.5 million guaranteed. That would make him the highest paid DB in NFL history.
Wow.
Worth it. That dude is good.
And I have the Broncos going 4-13 this season.
I wanted that guy to end up on the Eagles so bad. Oh, well.
Would have cost you 2 first-round picks and $70 million.
I don't care. I mean, I love a shutdown corner, and that guy's a true shutdown corner.
We have done all of this show. We have to do our Super Bowl picks. We have plenty of time. We've got a lot more to get to, including more of your nominations in our great debate today, the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. So you guys on the phones got some good ones we have not hit on yet, so keep them coming. And Perloff and I go on the record and make our Super Bowl pick next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Great debate here on this Wednesday is who is the greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL? Got some choices for you up on Maggie and Pearl at X. You can go and vote. Right now, Perloff's choice of BoJackson is in the lead at 68%, very robust. Jim Brown at 17%, DeionSanders 13%, Lamar Jackson at 2%. We have some other picks for you. EJ said Michael Vick. Ryan Botcher said Aaron Donald. So a lot for you. Andy is in Pittsburgh, has one that we have not mentioned yet, Pearl. What's up, Andy? Andy. Andy going once. All right, Andy, got it.
Maggie, can you recount a little bit of our conversation about what Andy was calling about last night? Because I became fascinated with this guy.
Yeah, so greatest pure athlete to ever play in the NFL. This person would not apply, but Dave Winfield is who Andy wanted to call in and talk about. And Dave Winfield is in more halls of fame than any person, any athlete, because he's in college baseball. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, obviously. He's in I believe he's in his high school basketball Hall of Fame as well. Dave Winfield has an unbelievable streak of the amount of halls of fame he is in.
By the way, I was doing some research during the break. Ray Lewis is in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. That's a name we haven't talked about.
What, the WWE Hall of Fame?
No, he was one of the great he didn't get into wrestling. He won. As a sophomore, he was like the second best wrestler in Florida. He was a dominant all-world wrestler. There's a couple guys who've been wrestling gold medal winners. Yeah.
I thought you were saying like WWE. I'm like, that's there's a lot of factors that go into that.
If you want to see something scary, watch a video of Ray Lewis wrestling. It is not good. Like the poor guy on the other end is just, he manhandles guys. Anyway.
I want to get the amount of Hall of Fames that Dave Winfield is in. We'll look that up for you. He's an unreal athlete, but did not play in the NFL, so doesn't apply here.
Yeah, so I think he was drafted in 3 sports too, right? Basketball, football, and baseball, obviously. We didn't mention some of the Julius Peppers, Tony Gonzalez, Kyler Murray. There are a lot of guys. Kyler Murray's a fantastic athlete.
Amazing athlete.
Yeah. He was like a top 10 pick in baseball and number 1 in football. That's unprecedented.
It's just interesting that, how did you take this debate? Is it if you can play multiple sports, does that mean you're the great athlete? Or if you're just the greatest football player, athleticism on the football field only, if I can get my words out. That's where the way I took it with Lamar Jackson. Although I wouldn't be shocked if Lamar Jackson has some secret talent of being some tremendous bowler or something.
I mean, even if you go by those marks, I think you could make good arguments for both Deion and BoJackson as being better. I mean,
you're right.
Deion is getting a little shortchanged in this thing because he was. I mean, how many guys were so good at cornerback that they could switch to offense and return punts and then go play baseball the same day? He is, and I think that's why we care about him as a coach, because he was such a spectacular athlete.
Tomorrow we'll get more into that Colorado-Nebraska game, which is really exciting for the weekend. If anyone caught Dylan Raiola, the 5-star out of high school who's playing for Nebraska, wearing 15, he's kind of got the Mahomes haircut, Perloff. He has the Mahomes sort of arm angle stuff. He's kind of doing this Mahomes impersonation. He was very impressive as a true freshman, and obviously that rivalry has gotten renewed with Matt Rhule and with Deion Sanders. Okay, let's get to it. Time for Maggie and Perloff, refer to myself in the third person, to go on the record and make a Super Bowl prediction. Thank you, Ryan. Now, we've already picked some AFC and NFC playoff teams. Pearl, do you want to go back over your selections?
Yeah, so I'll start AFC East champion Jets, North Bengals, South Texans, West Chiefs, wildcard teams Bills, Ravens, Browns.
For me, I also have the Jets winning the AFC East. I have Baltimore winning the AFC North. I have the Houston Texans winning the AFC South. Kansas City Chiefs winning the AFC West. My wildcard teams are your Cincinnati Bengals, your LA Chargers, and my Buffalo Bills. What about the NFC?
NFC, I went NFC East Cowboys, NFC North Lions, NFC South Falcons, NFC West 49ers, wildcard Eagles, Packers, Rams.
For me, I have Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East. I have the Packers winning the NFC North. Give me the Falcons for the NFC South. Give me the Rams for the NFC West. My wild cards, San Francisco, Detroit, and Seattle. I have the Cowboys missing the playoffs this year. All right, those are the playoff teams, all 7 of them. Time for Super Bowl picks. The floor is yours.
Keeping it simple, Maggie. Don't bet against Joe Burrow. I have the Chiefs and the Bengals in the AFC title game, and this is going to be a close one. I am not going to reinvent the wheel. We are going down to the last 2 minutes of this game. Joe Burrow is going to beat Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. I have the Chiefs being the 1 seed, the Bengals being the 2 seed. Burrow comes out on top once again here. It's going to be a great game. I think this is like a Peyton Manning, Tom Brady rivalry for the ages. A new chapter this year. This time Burrow comes out on top. I got the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. Oh, we're just doing the AFC, right? Or we do both?
Why don't you give me your whole thing?
Okay.
Go to the NFC too.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, I thought we were rotating. NFC, okay. I had the Lions all offseason, right? Lions. There's enough little injury picadillos here in Detroit that I'm pivoting off of them. And I did not know where else to go except the NFC North. I don't like anyone in the East, and I do not like the Niners because of also injuries. I'm going Green Bay Packers because let's face it, they should have done it last year. They should have beaten San Francisco. I think if the rain doesn't come down in that game, they win that game, and then they beat the Lions. I'm going Packers out of the NFC. Then I have the Bengals winning the game.
Very good. It'll be an exciting game.
Sorry, I took a big break between conferences there.
I'd like to watch it. For me, the AFC Championship game will be the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the New York Jets. Yes, I have the Jets in the AFC Championship game. I'm going in. I think the Jets, this is happening. But Kansas City ultimately beats them in New York. In the NFC, my NFC Championship game, you and I thinking of like Green Bay and San Francisco, the rematch in the NFC Championship game. This one happens in Lambeau, and Jordan Love does something that Aaron Rodgers couldn't do at the end of his Packers career, which is win in Lambeau. Favre really didn't do it at the end either, but that's all right. Kansas City over Green Bay in the Super Bowl. The three-peat happens. That's what's happening this year. It is going to be a Kansas City three-peat. They've made it through every distraction possible. They've gotten so big and good and famous and all the things that would normally tear a team apart, egos, all of that. We're watching something all-time and special, guys. And this is Mahomes doing a Michael Jordan impersonation of keeping other great quarterbacks from winning Super Bowls, and he continues to do it this season. Give me Chiefs over the Green Bay Packers in New Orleans.
I'm disappointed in us that we have the same team in the NFC, but I think the Packers are more likely to do it from a wild card spot. That's where you and I differ.
Yep.
Because then I'm going, I don't know why. It just feels like they're a little cursed at Lambeau in the playoffs these days. So I think going on the road is actually going to help them in my model here, where they don't, they don't want to be in Lambeau. I don't know what it is. It's the weirdest thing where it's a reverse what you would think, where Rodgers just didn't seem comfortable in the playoffs.
Yep.
So I'm going to go 2009 all over again, 2010, sorry, all over again, where the Packers limp into the playoffs and go on a wild run.
There you go. Guys, what do you think of our Super Bowl picks? Pat, Ryan?
I don't mind the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs get back there again, and I think it's Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship. The Packers seem like they're a trendy pick against the formerly trendy pick of the Lions.
Yeah, I think that people got really super high on the Lions, and a lot of people started picking them. I mean, it is the Lions, after all. Like, this would be an unreal thing for them to go to the Super Bowl.
It would be.
Listen, the scriptwriters love it.
But yeah, I mean, Detroit was both Green Bay and Detroit should have beaten San Francisco last year. They both blew leads. Detroit just seems on paper a little better. You know, at the end of the day, for some reason, I just don't see all these guys staying healthy in Detroit. Like Gibbs already had an injury. Penny Sewell's awesome. I don't know what it feels like. They're a little more brittle. And you're right, Dan Campbell. Do I trust him? I don't know that I trust Matt LaFleur either. That's the other one. But somebody's got to come out of the NFC. I think. Do you agree that the AFC is way better this year? Are we going back to that well? It was harder for me to choose that Super Bowl team.
Way more even this year, I think, than a year ago.
Okay.
Thank you to Pat Boyle. Thank you, Ryan Botcher. Thank you, EJ Stewart, Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. You guys are the best on the phones. We will see you tomorrow.